Chapter 45-31. Bai Fan felt that by talking to Ling Xiao, who was not even a disciple of the Golden City, he was giving the other party enough face. The other party couldn't possibly not know this, right? He would definitely agree. Moreover, this was indeed beneficial to both sides. Seeing Ling Xiao remain silent, Bai Fan smiled and said, "Of course, you should discuss this with Prince Jean first." At this time, Xiao Jin and Cold Plum were not present. After all, this was an internal matter of the Golden Sky region. Ling Xiao smiled, although the other party's request was not excessive. However, he had no intention of agreeing. The reason was simple. The fewer people there were, the more things there would be. If there were too many people, it would be difficult to divide the goods. Moreover, their team did not need to borrow the strength of others at all. His physical body was now equivalent to an emperor weapon with 4 dragon patterns. His cultivation base had even reached the late stage of the extreme core realm. Even a martial artist at the 8th level of the shattered core stage could be easily killed. If combined with the Sky Tyrant martial soul, even a 9th level shattered core martial artist might not be a match for him. In addition to the various Dharma treasures, he was still able to compete with a half-step divine physique realm martial artist. He, Little Gold, and Sword Tiger were already powerful enough, let alone the fact that Dong Huangyu had already broken through to the initial phase of the extreme pill realm. Her cultivation speed was not inferior to his. Coupled with the Dharma treasure jellyfish lava mirror in his hand, his strength was not to be underestimated. Cold Plum was even scarier. At a critical moment, once she endured the pain and made a move, it was likely that none of the cultivators who entered the Heavenly Hall would be her opponent. Ask, was there a need for him to team up with someone else? We appreciate Senior Brother Bai's good intentions, but forget about the matter of forming a team. Ling Xiao said with a smile. What? Everyone in the Golden City was shocked. This Ling Xiao didn't know how to appreciate favors. I am only discussing with you because you are from the Golden Sky region and because you know the Golden Prince. They want to borrow the Golden Prince's power, not because they think highly of you, Ling Xiao. You think too highly of yourself, don't you? The warm smile on Bai Fan's face instantly turned cold. The ape demon sneered and said, Ling Xiao, do you really think you're something? Let me tell you, Senior Brother Bai and Senior Brother He didn't come here to discuss with you. I just want to tell you that for the benefit of Golden City, let the Golden Prince join our team. As for you, it's fine if you don't go. You'll die anyway. Ling Xiao glanced at the demonic ape. His eyes were like black whirlpools. A terrifying demonic aura instantly blasted towards the demonic ape. The demonic ape suddenly clutched its head and roared in pain. You're just a piece of trash. Wasn't the 3,000 holy cities lesson enough? How dare you speak to me like that? Believe it or not, I'll kill you. Ling Xiao sneered. Bai Fan ignored the ape devil. Instead, he looked at Ling Xiao and said, Junior Brother Ling, you will be a citizen of the Golden City in the future. You should understand that the stronger the Golden City is, the more benefits you will receive. How about this? You let Golden Prince and Sword Tiger team up with us. When we come out of the Heaven Ruins, we can give you something good as a reward. After all, without you, we wouldn't have been able to contact them. You're still young. You can go to the ruins in the future. Right now, it's more important to think about how to protect your life. The fox's tail is finally showing? Ling Xiao snorted coldly. He looked at Bai Fan and said, What? Do you mean that I have no choice but to agree? You're the senior brother. I'll give you some face. Let's not talk about forming a team anymore. Let's go. He was already giving face by not telling him to scram. What's there to talk to a piece of trash like him? A mere disciple of the 3,000 holy cities is actually so stubborn. Why don't we talk to Golden Prince directly? I believe he won't team up with this piece of trash. Black Peak wasn't as hypocritical as Bai Fan. He was even more direct. In his eyes, Golden Prince pulled Ling Xiao along just to make up the numbers and for fun. He didn't really want to form a team. Since he could form a team with Ling Xiao, he could also form a team with them. Do you really want me to curse? Scram! Little Golden won't meet you. Stop dreaming. Ling Xiao stood up and finally cursed. At that moment, Bai Fan released a terrifying murderous aura, as if he could attack at any time. Hee, you want to attack because of a disagreement? Ling Xiao sneered. Why would I? Bai Fan smiled and forcefully suppressed his murderous aura, because he and Black Peak weren't confident in defeating Golden Prince. They weren't clear about the relationship between Golden Prince and Ling Xiao. It was obviously inappropriate to attack here. Scram if you're not going to attack. A bunch of idiots. Why would Golden City have trash like you? Other than Black Peak, he didn't care about the rest. Good. Very good. Today, for the sake of Golden Prince, we'll leave. But Ling Xiao, remember, you're still someone from Golden Sky region. You can't always stay by Golden Prince's side. Be careful not to lose his protection. You'll suffer. Bai Fan gritted his teeth and said, Hee hee. Qi Yuan also wants me to suffer, but he's already a corpse now. Ling Xiao ridiculed. There was no need to hide this matter. He couldn't hide it. When he snatched the 9 revolutions gourd, Huang Jinlan had already seen his appearance. You killed Qi Yuan. Qi Hai exclaimed. Not only did you kill him, but you also took this thing. Ling Xiao deliberately took out the 9 revolutions gourd. Who wants to try its power? 9 revolutions gourd. Battle King Huang Jinlan's treasure. Bai Fan's expression changed. Ling Xiao, you dare to kill a disciple of Golden City. You're finished. You don't have to worry about whether I'm finished or not. Ling Xiao laughed. Ever since he obtained the Lotus Sutra, he didn't even put Golden City in his eyes. At most, he could obtain some resources there. He didn't believe that there was a cultivation technique more advanced than the Lotus Sutra. Kid, you're proud now, but 3 days later, someone will deal with you. At that time, 22 teams will gather. Your Battle Alliance team didn't pass the assessment and obtain the qualification. I'm afraid you'll become the target of public criticism. At that time, I'd like to see how you can show off other than Golden Prince and Jian Hu. Let's go. Bai Fan snorted and turned to leave. That resentful expression was really scary. Sorry, I didn't know it would be like this. Tian Haitang walked at the back and said to Ling Xiao helplessly, It's fine, but you have to be careful of those beasts. That Bai Fan is even more disgusting than Heifeng. Ling Xiao reminded. Thank you. Tian Haitang turned and left. Being able to get Ling Xiao's forgiveness made her feel relieved. After Bai Fan and the rest left, Xiao Jin walked out and smiled. Boss, your temper has become better. If it was in the past, if those people said that to you, you would have beaten them up. Have I become better? Ling Xiao grinned. Beating them up here will only give some people in Golden City an excuse to hate us. It's better to teach them a lesson within the scope of the rules. They will take the initiative to send themselves to us. So we don't have to worry about not having a chance to fight. But now, cultivation is the key. I don't even put those trash in my eyes. Chapter 4532. Boss, you just want to show off your muscles in front of King of the World, right? Little Gold laughed. Who does he think he is? He's just a half-step divine body realm cultivator. Ling Xiao said in disdain. I used to be like an ant in front of him. Right now, he's just a fat dog in front of me. I don't really care about him. Huang Jinlan and King of the World are much scarier than him. You're right. Boss, when are you going to kill him? I'll help you. Little Gold said. Little Gold, don't you understand? If I want to kill him, I have to do it myself. You have a lot of enemies too. Don't get distracted. Yeah, we all have enemies. Let's cheer each other on. Little Gold laughed. He had to walk his own path. The help of others had a certain effect, but it wasn't decisive. Ling Xiao's idea was simple. King of the World was just an attempt to get in touch with the Eternal Emperor domain. If he couldn't even get rid of King of the World, how could he get back what belonged to him from the Eternal Palace? if he could get justice for his father in this life. Ling Xiao didn't leave the inn for 3 days. He studied the Black Lotus Scroll of the Lotus Sutra. He realized that the Black Lotus Scroll was enough for him to cultivate for a long time. Therefore, he didn't plan to change it for the time being. As his demonic power continued to increase, his strength also steadily increased. Although his cultivation didn't break through and his physical strength didn't increase, he was already very familiar with the use of his new strength. 3 days passed in a flash. Ling Xiao and the others finally set off for the heavenly ruins. The Board of Patriarchs had built a small city around the heavenly ruins. Only those allowed by the Board of Patriarchs could enter. Those who were qualified to enter the city today were the teams that were about to go to the heavenly ruins and some reserve teams. The reserve teams were set up to prevent any accidents from happening to the official teams. Of course, this had nothing to do with Ling Xiao. The Battle Alliance team had passed the test and obtained the right to enter the heavenly ruins. Therefore, what they had to do was to go to the City of Adventure and listen to the rules. The City of Adventure was the name given to the small city by the martial artists. What? The Heavenly Ruins isn't opening today? Only the remaining 9 teams? Ling Xiao only received this news when he arrived at the City of Adventure. He thought that today was the day he would enter the Heavenly Ruins. How boring. Boss, since you're here, why don't you go take a look? The teams from the 4 regions and 9 worlds are all here. King rules the world, Zilin, Bai Fan, and the others. Xiao Jin's eyes shone with excitement. Fine, let's go watch the show. Ling Xiao thought about it and agreed. There was no point in staying at home and cultivating. Thus, they went to the seats that had been prepared for them in advance and sat down. At this moment, there were a total of 18 teams that were preparing to participate in the assessment. They were all on the huge training field below. The 13 teams from the 4 regions and 9 worlds, as well as the Battle Alliance's team, sat in special seats in the audience, right below the rostrum. There seems to be a lot of people here to watch the battle. Ling Xiao casually glanced around and discovered some unfamiliar and powerful faces. Even the sect master of the Jade Flower sect, who was rumored to have suffered heavy injuries in the Devil Suppressing Forest, had come. Basically, each of the 13 teams from the 4 regions and 9 worlds had at least one half-step Divine Body Realm expert. As for the participating teams, including the reserve team, the strongest was only at the 9th stage of the Shattered Core Realm. Actually, that was pretty good. Who is that person? Even the Sacred Lady of the Wild Beast region and the Golden Prince are following behind him? What a powerful aura! The crowd quickly noticed Ling Xiao and couldn't help but discuss. He's just a fox who uses the tiger's might to intimidate others. I heard that the Golden Prince doesn't want too much trouble, so he sent this guy called Ling Xiao. In this team, this guy's strength is the weakest. He's really lucky. Those who didn't know the truth looked down on Ling Xiao. They even felt that he was dragging the team down. The Board of Patriarchs attached great importance to this matter. Although the 13 patriarchs weren't present, the elders who were second only to the original were all present. These 12 elders were actually all divine physique echelon experts. How terrifying were those patriarchs! Yu Hua divine cult's leader, Yu Huajun, had been staring at Ling Xiao ever since he entered. His eyes were filled with indifference. Strangely, there was actually a strong sense of greed. Did this old thing guess something? Ling Xiao had entered the demon suppression forest, and then the forest underwent a strange change. Currently, only Yu Huajun knew about this matter. This old thing probably didn't tell anyone else because he wanted to take all the treasures on Ling Xiao. So what if he guessed it? Ling Xiao sneered. Now that he had obtained the Lotus Sutra, he could just find a secluded place to cultivate in seclusion and come out when he was stronger. Of course, that was just a strategy that he had no other choice. He ignored Yu Huajun and looked at the few forces that he was most interested in. The first was the Golden Skies. As expected, Hei Feng and Bai Fan were the leaders, but there was a new face. This person was wearing a mask, so his identity was unknown. However, his aura was definitely not inferior to Haifeng's. These 3 people should be the 3 strongest people in the Golden Heavens domain team. The second was the Savage Beast region. Zilin, Zhou Guang, and the others were all here. Zilin looked at Ling Xiao with undisguised ferocity. When he heard that the ant in the primordial divine tomb had actually come to the chaotic desert ocean, he didn't believe it. At first, he didn't believe it. When he saw it with his own eyes, he decided to get rid of this person. Otherwise, with this kid's terrifying potential, he would grow into a terrifying existence sooner or later. The third was the Heavenly Fiend Ghost region. There were also many familiar faces: Ghost Sword, Qi Niming, Qi Yaoguang, Black Pearl, Jian Wuqing, Dao Shuilon, and Fire Spirit. Unfortunately, Ling Jiaojiao was nowhere to be seen. Ling Xiao guessed that Ling Jiaojiao was very likely to be heavily nurtured by the Demon Emperor, just like someone like Huang Jinlan. The 7 of them were all familiar faces. Moreover, after not seeing them for a long time, they were much stronger than before. After being personally trained by the Demon Emperor, it was a qualitative leap. Especially Ghost Sword and Qi Niming, who are now terrifying existences in the 9th stage of the core fragmentation realm. Among the other 3 unfamiliar faces, there were also 2 half-step divine physique echelon existences. They were probably the leaders sent by the Heavenly Fiend Ghost region this time. The 4th force that Ling Xiao paid attention to was the Eternal Emperor region. As the strongest force, the Eternal Emperor Domains team was simply ridiculously strong. Among the 10 people, there were actually 4 half-step divine physique echelon experts. The other 6 were also in the 9th stage of the core fragmentation realm. They were simply asking for trouble. Wang Quan under the heavens was one of the half-step divine physique echelon experts, but he wasn't the strongest. The strongest person in the Eternal Emperor region is called Yu Qin. His strength is probably the most terrifying among all the contestants this time. He belongs to the royal family of the Eternal Emperor region. Little Gold reminded M. Chapter 45-33. Oh, because of Xiao Jin's words, Ling Xiao deliberately glanced at Yu Qin. This person's face was cold. It was as if everything had nothing to do with him. However, there was a terrifying saber intent blooming from him as he sat there. He should be an expert in using sabers. Wang Quan under heaven looked at Ling Xiao and made a throat-slitting gesture. This kid's hatred for Ling Xiao was even greater than Ling Xiao's hatred for him. After all, his physical body was destroyed in the hands of an ant. He really couldn't stand the anger. In such an environment, Ling Xiao's potential actually began to be released. He probably felt the pressure. This time, the people who came were not the top existences of the 4 regions and 9 worlds, but they were already so terrifying. How terrifying would the top geniuses of the 4 regions and 9 worlds be? It was really hard to imagine. Sister Yunu is now a super genius of the Eternal Palace. She's not weaker than Wang Quan under heaven. If I want to be worthy of her, I should at least be the top genius of the Golden Sky domain. This trip to the chaotic sand ocean is just the beginning. I will become stronger. Wait a little longer. Ling Xiao took a deep breath. He was a little excited. How could he not be excited that he was so close to something that he couldn't touch before? At this moment, Yu Huajun stood up. It seemed that his injuries had not healed yet. His face was a little pale. He probably suffered serious injuries in the demon suppression forest. Yu Hua Divine Sect was the lackey of the Patriarch Society. Yu Huajun was the leader of this group of dogs. Naturally, he would be the one doing the hard work. He stood up and went straight to the point. Today, 9 out of 18 teams will be chosen. Before he finished speaking, someone had already shouted, "Aren't there 10 spots?" Ling Xiao looked at the person who spoke. With his memory, he naturally remembered that this person was a martial artist from Yu Hua Divine Sect. It seemed that he did it on purpose. He suddenly remembered what Bai Fan had said. They had become the only team to break the rules and advance to the next round. They would definitely become the target of public criticism and be viewed with hostility by many people. Haha, so that's how it is. Setting a trap for me? But is it useful? At the end of the day, 10,000 traps could not compare to true strength. He sneered and continued to watch these people perform. Yu Huajun said coolly, originally there were 10 spots, but the Battle Alliance's team's overall strength was very powerful. Therefore, the Patriarch Society unanimously decided that they could directly advance without having to take the test. This is for your own good. Otherwise, if you fight against a powerful team, you can imagine the consequences. His words were clearly meant to provoke the 18 teams. So what if you're from the Battle Alliance? What right do they have to say that we're not as good as them before we even fight? We refuse to accept this, especially among these people. There were people who deliberately fanned the flames. Everyone's emotions were stirred up in an instant. Ling Xiao watched all this coldly without saying a word. He wanted to see how the Council of Patriarchs would handle this matter. If it were an ordinary person, they would probably be so excited that they would want to show off their strength. Ling Xiao was the exact opposite. It was the Council of Patriarchs that had decided on them. He wanted to see how the Council of Patriarchs would clean up this mess. He wasn't going to catch the ball. One of the people who had been arranged long ago said in a clear voice, "The Council of Patriarchs doing this were really very unconvinced. The Council of Patriarchs is different from the Beast Deity Alliance, relying on the constraints of rules." It was agreed that 20 teams would compete for 10 spots. Now, they were actually decided internally. Based on what? If their strength is strong enough, there shouldn't be a problem to take part in the test, right? That's right. With someone fanning the flames, there would naturally be people who would be ignited. There were only 10 spots to begin with. Now that there was one less, there would definitely be a lot of dissatisfied people. The Council of Patriarchs' action probably won't convince the masses, although Golden Prince, Kai Dai Saintus, and Jianhu are all very powerful. The remaining 2 people in this team are seriously not worthy of such a high-end composition. Their overall strength probably can't compare to any of our 18 teams. They got the internally decided spot. There's a shady deal here. In the Council of Patriarchs, the person who planned this matter let out a cold laugh. He wanted to see how Ling Xiao would clean up the mess. Facing so many people's doubts, the pressure must be very great. He wanted to make Ling Xiao look bad. Of course, the more important purpose was to let the 18 teams test Ling Xiao's strength. At this moment, Yu Huajun looked at Ling Xiao and said with a seemingly difficult expression, "Little brother, why don't you just show your strength? This way they can also shut up. Even an idiot knows how stupid it is to show your strength before entering the heaven ruins." Sect leader Yu Huajun, are you even worse than an idiot? It was the Council of Patriarchs that decided internally that we would advance. Now that there are people objecting, it should be the Council of Patriarchs to deal with it. Hee. Could it be that the Council of Patriarchs doesn't even have this bit of authority now, letting a bunch of trash question your decision? Have the 12 elders all become mutes? No one expected Ling Xiao's words. This was equivalent to roasting the Council of Patriarchs on the fire. That's right, the Battle Alliance team was begged to let them advance internally. You did that, but you couldn't suppress the voices of opposition. What's the use of having you? Yu Huajun's expression was extremely ugly. The elders couldn't get out of this situation either. Finally, one of the elders stood up. The Battle Alliance team's advancement was decided unanimously by the Council of Patriarchs. Who dares question it? As soon as his voice rang out, the questioning voices of the 18 teams immediately stopped. It was obvious that although they didn't dare to say anything, they were still unconvinced. Elders, you mustn't be deceived by Ling Xiao's glib tongue. The Council of Patriarchs unanimously decided that the Battle Alliance team would advance internally. However, if some people want to fish in troubled waters and take advantage of the team's glory, that's definitely not allowed. That's a challenge to the Council of Patriarchs' rules. Suddenly, a martial artist from the 4 regions and 9 realms spoke up. This person was Xian Mu from the Savage Beast region, an 8th level core fragmentation cultivator. The others in this team are passable, but Ling Xiao really doesn't have the qualifications to enter the Heaven Ruins. Elders, please make a clear judgment. Xian Mu sneered. That brat Ling Xiao made them suffer greatly in the primordial divine tomb. He had to give this guy a hard time. Moreover, he also wanted to know Ling Xiao's true strength. After all, there were many rumors in the outside world, saying that Ling Xiao had killed heavenly demon Yuhua. Although Xian Mu didn't like to talk, his brain was still very good. Hearing Xian Mu's words, Ling Xiao suddenly smiled. If he were to deal with a 9th level core-shattering stage martial artist, he might have to utilize all his trump cards. But the 8th level of the shattered core realm, since you, Xian Mu, are courting death, I shall grant you your wish. Then, you shall become the nourishment for my cultivation. The black lotus scroll of the Lotus Sutra cultivated the Devil Tao. As for the demonic path, it was about defying the heavens, about defying all living things. It was domineering. Whoever refused to comply, he would kill them. Xiao Jin was about to speak when he was stopped by Ling Xiao. He stood up. Why go through so much trouble? You, Xian Mu, look down on me, Ling Xiao. Do you dare to fight me? Is this a test of my capabilities? Asterisk, 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 m. 3/3/x/am, reading novels on mobile. Chapter 4534. Ling Xiao was just about to take care of those 6 bastards from the Savage Beast region. He didn't expect that idiot Xian Mu to come knocking on his door. If he didn't accept this gift, he'd be letting the heavens down. Xian Mu, since you think I, Ling Xiao, can't do it, why don't you come and spar with me? As Ling Xiao spoke, he leapt into the air and entered the arena. He didn't give Xian Mu any reason to refuse. At that moment, Xian Mu was stunned. He had only wanted to mock Ling Xiao a little. He didn't expect to be targeted by Ling Xiao. This ant from the past wanted to challenge him. He felt humiliated. This ant didn't challenge anyone else but him. Didn't that mean he was weaker than him? Xian Mu's eyes were filled with fear, but he hesitated. He was thinking, what if those rumors were true? What if he lost? What? Are you scared? Ling Xiao said sarcastically, since you're scared, then be a good coward and stop farting there. Hearing Ling Xiao's words, Xian Mu couldn't hold back his anger any longer. You think I'm scared of you? Just don't regret it. Xian Mu flew out and landed on the arena. He released his aura as an 8th stage core fragmentation cultivator. It was as if he wanted Ling Xiao to be afraid, to make Ling Xiao admit defeat. However, Ling Xiao acted as if he didn't see it. His expression didn't change. Xian Mu, don't let this ant look down on the Savage Beast region. It's best if you kill him. Wang Quan's world suddenly spoke. Every time he saw Ling Xiao, he felt uncomfortable all over. He felt like his body was about to explode. Kill him? Xian Mu was stunned. Was it really okay to kill someone in a place like this? Why did Wang Quan's world value an ant so much? The Immortal Palace's martial artists were also surprised. Wang Quan's world was very excited to see Ling Xiao at the entrance of the Jade Flower sect. Why was he doing this again? Junior brother Wang Quan, do you know that person? Yu Qin asked with a frown. He believed that although Wang Quan under heaven was not as good as Wang Quan under heaven, he had always been a proud person. He shouldn't have completely lost his composure because of a martial artist in the late stage of the extreme stage of Dan. I'd recognize him even if he turned into ashes. Wang Quan's world said viciously, "This is the guy who destroyed my body." He wouldn't tell anyone about this, but since Yu Qin already knew about it, there was no harm in telling her. It's actually him? Didn't you say that he was in a small country in the western regions? Why had he come to the chaotic desert? The people of the western regions have never experienced such a thing. Yu Qin was also shocked. I don't understand either. How did this guy grow to such an extent? However, Since I've met him, he must die. He must die. King of the world gritted his teeth and said. As he spoke, he glared at Ling Xiao. If looks could kill, Ling Xiao would have died countless times. This place really suits me. Surrounded by strong enemies on the battlefield, there were also many people who harbored ill intentions towards him. The demon in his heart was getting stronger and stronger. However, this demon was a type of demon path that was under his control. It wasn't like the human demon who had been controlled by the demon intent. The demon path was also a type of martial path. However, it was about killing decisively, taking revenge, never compromising, and going against the heavens. Today's stage was very important for him to improve his strength. Ling Xiao, your strength isn't that great, but you're quite hated. I really didn't think that you would be so stupid to actually take the initiative to provoke me. Xian Mu looked at Ling Xiao, his killing intent burning. He could see that there were many people who wanted Ling Xiao dead. Even if he killed Ling Xiao, there shouldn't be a problem, right? You talk too much. Ling Xiao looked at the elders and said loudly, Elders, there are people who question the overall strength of our Battle Alliance team. Most importantly, they question my strength. If I defeat Xian Mu today, will there be no problem? Of course. One of the elders nodded and said, This person was a martial artist from Roland's Golden Palace. Seeing that Ling Xiao dared to provoke Xian Mu like this, he was also somewhat curious. The other elders also nodded one after another. Even for Yu Huajun, this was just the effect she wanted. Everyone was very interested. Where did this arrogant youth get his confidence from? He actually dared to provoke Xian Mu. Xian Mu was at the 8th level of the Shattered Core Realm, and he was only at the late stage of the Extreme Core Realm. This gap was a bit too big. Purely courting death. Ignorant. Even if he's retarded, he shouldn't be to this extent. He's dead for sure. Zilin, Wang Quan Under the Heavens by Fan, and the others all had this thought. They thought that Ling Xiao's actions were tantamount to courting death. Ling Xiao smiled faintly, hooked his finger at Xian Mu, and said, Come, grandson! Hateful. Xian Mu flew into a rage out of humiliation. He raised his right hand, and a thin needle-like thing shot out. Greenwood Divine Needle. This was a treasure in Xian Mu's hands. It had one dragon mark. Its destructive power was extremely great. Using this right from the start showed that he wanted to kill Ling Xiao as soon as possible, and that he planned to do it by hook or by crook. Twin Tiger Divine Seal. Ling Xiao was not to be outdone, and he activated the Twin Tiger Divine Seal. The huge seal smashed towards the Greenwood Divine Needle. The two magic treasures collided. They were both monarch weapons with one dragon mark, but Ling Xiao's true essence quality and soul power were stronger. Therefore, the Greenwood Divine Needle was actually knocked to the ground. The Twin Tiger Divine Seal's momentum did not decrease, and it directly smashed onto Xian Mu's body, knocking him to the ground. Although the Greenwood Divine Needle had weakened a lot of power, it did not cause too much damage to Xian Mu. However, in this first exchange, Xian Mu had suffered a hidden loss. This made those who thought that Ling Xiao would definitely lose and mocked and ridiculed Ling Xiao look bad. Twin Tiger Divine Seal? Could he be the one who killed the Twin Tiger Gang's leader? There are also rumors that he killed Yu Hua, Qian Rui, and Yu Hua Heavenly Demon, and not the Golden Prince that everyone knows. When people saw Ling Xiao make his move, some of the rumors that they did not care about seemed to be true now. Use whatever moves you have. I want to see how powerful the martial arts of the Savage Beast region are. My Golden Sky region's martial arts are still the best. Ling Xiao did not release his tyrant martial soul. He did not even use his beast soul transformation. He only used his physical body to fight his opponent. It was for his own training and breakthrough. His body was like steel that needed to be tempered. If he was not injured, he would not be strengthened. That would not be good. Once he used his beast soul transformation, Xian Mu would have lost long ago. This was just right. Arrogant. Xian Mu was prepared for a long battle after failing to kill Ling Xiao in one move. It did not matter even if he lost face. It was fine as long as he could kill Ling Xiao. Kill. Xian Mu used his most terrifying move. In an instant, the entire martial arts arena was filled with vines and roots. There was almost no space to dodge. End of chapter. Chapter 45-35. The vines and roots on the martial arts practice field were incomparably sharp. If they were stabbed, they would definitely be seriously injured. This was the terrifying effect brought about by his main body. His body had also changed during the battle. He had become a huge tree ant and was no longer in his human form. To actually force Xian Mu to use the Xian Mu killing formation, this kid indeed has some means. But it's over. Once the Xian Mu killing formation is used, he will definitely die. Ian Light sneered. However, the slap to the face came very quickly. Ling Xiao turned into a streak of golden light, scuttling around the Xian Mu killing formation, his main body almost unable to be seen. A series of terrifying rumbles came from the martial arts practice field. The Xian Mu attacked continuously, but it was ineffective. Who said that this guy was weak? The martial artists who were preparing to take the test revealed shocked expressions. If Ling Xiao was weak, most of them here would not be qualified to take the test. Too strong. No wonder Golden Prince and Kai Dai Saintess were willing to team up with him. Just this speed alone is very useful when snatching things. What's his name again? Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao? That Ling Xiao who won the 3,000 Holy Cities Golden Battle Champion? Should be. Listening to these people praising Ling Xiao, King Power under heaven's anger had nowhere to vent. This was an ant that he could trample to death at any time back then. Even if the laws of the Western region were unable to let him unleash his true strength, he could still easily trample this guy to death. Why? Why did this ant not only not die, but also reach this step today? Were those people who took his Wang Quan family's money all useless? Back then, the Wang Quan family used their power to bribe many people in the Western region to kill Ling Xiao. It was a pity that these people, these forces, were not uprooted by Ling Xiao now. They just relied on the Heavenly Empire and became Ling Xiao's subordinates. What King Power under heaven found the most unacceptable was that it had only been 2 years. Although he used a large number of heaven and earth treasures to recover his physical body, his strength was also stronger than before. But this ant was actually about to catch up to him? What kind of joke was this? It wasn't funny at all. Even King's World was a little afraid. He was afraid that Ling Xiao would surpass him and that Ling Xiao would destroy his body again. No, this time it might not be as simple as destroying his physical body. It might even kill him directly. No, I can't accept that. During the battle, Ling Xiao could feel the emotional fluctuations of King of the World. Suddenly, he stopped dodging and looked at King of the World with contempt. He even made a throat-slitting gesture. King's World trembled violently because of this gesture. He felt a chill run down his spine, and his hands and feet trembled. Is he provoking you? Yu Qin said with a frown. Damned Ling Xiao, an ant. Do you really think you can defeat me like this? Wang Quan's World clenched his fists, his eyes red. And at this moment on the training field, Xian Mu saw Ling Xiao suddenly stop and thought that his chance had arrived. He frantically manipulated the roots and vines to attack Ling Xiao. 9 revolution gourd, 9 revolution armor. The pitch-black smoke turned into a pitch-black armor that covered Ling Xiao's entire body. The 9 revolution gourd had already been exposed, so there was no need to hide it now. Those roots and vines hit the black armor, but they couldn't hurt Ling Xiao at all. An emperor weapon with 2 dragon patterns. How does this kid have such a treasure? Many people were shocked, including Xian Mu. No wonder he dared to provoke Xian Mu. Just this emperor weapon alone can make him invincible. Zilin frowned. He admitted that he had underestimated Ling Xiao. Letting Xian Mu fight was a wrong decision. Xian Mu was at a loss against the 9 revolution gourd. But at this moment, Ling Xiao actually removed the 9 revolution armor. Sorry, I don't need this treasure to deal with you. I was just talking to King of the World to protect myself. Ling Xiao looked at Xian Mu and smiled. How dare you look down on me like this? Xian Mu felt like he was going to spit out a mouthful of blood. I will definitely kill you. Heaven and earth seal, endless forest. Xian Mu's martial Dao seemed to be more focused on his body. It was always related to the word Mu. He let out a furious roar. The entire martial arts practice field seemed to be completely enveloped by the dense forest. The boundless forest shrouded the sky. Every leaf was filled with a terrifying, murderous intent. It's over. Yeah, too careless. He had such a treasure, but didn't use it. Many people sighed for Ling Xiao. Treasures were also a part of one's strength. King of the World thought differently. He hoped that Ling Xiao would die, so he would be very happy with all the stupid things that Ling Xiao did. But in the next moment, his excited face turned dull again, as if he had eaten a mouthful of feces. The endless forest was filled with killing intent. But among them, Ling Xiao was like a sharp demon sword. He killed all the enemies one by one. Although Ling Xiao still couldn't understand the true meaning of the Black Lotus Scroll, but the demonic Dao merged with his sword Dao, but it released an even more terrifying sword intent. He temporarily sealed the East Victory Heavenly Sword. Only using the East Victory Demon Sword, the demonic aura was even stronger. The boundless forest was actually trembling in an attempt to suppress this demon. However, no matter how hard they tried, they were unable to suppress it. For some reason, many people thought of the demon suppression forest. Is that all you can do? You're really too weak. Especially when Ling Xiao went crazy in the endless forest and mocked Xian Mu like this. It really made Xian Mu vomit blood. Since you don't have any other skills, it's my turn to attack. Ling Xiao held the East Victory Demon Sword. The demonic power merged into his vital essence. The 9th level of the 12 Divine Beasts technique completely erupted. The 9 beasts merged into one. They formed a huge demonic sword shadow. Xian Mu was extremely shocked. He had no choice but to take out his last trump card. Azure, Dark True Body. A shadow appeared behind Xian Mu. Endless invisible wood power condensed in Xian Mu's hand. In his hand, there was still the Azure wood Divine Needle. However, when it was held by the Azure Dark True Body, its power had increased to a terrifying level. At this point, he was really afraid. How could Ling Xiao be so strong? How could it be? He really regretted fighting. Even if he won this battle, his trump card was exposed. What should he do next? Are you still thinking that you can win? How ridiculous! As Ling Xiao spoke, he finally entered the unbounded heavenly rat beast soul transformation state. If he didn't transform, he really couldn't withstand Xian Mu's ultimate move. After transforming, his advantage would become extremely obvious. Everyone who saw this scene was dumbfounded. Xian Mu even used the Azure Dark True Body. It seems that he's really forced into a desperate situation. That guy's combat strength is still increasing. What the hell is going on? Beast God Martial Artist. Yu Chen's pupils suddenly shrank. Wang Quan under the heavens was also shocked and showed an expression of disbelief. Beast God Martial Artist. His brother, Wang Quan under the heavens, was one. That was a legendary existence, an invincible legend. This Ling Xiao was also a beast god martial artist. Chapter 4536. Boom! The Greenwood Divine Needle clashed with the 12 Divine Beast technique. There was a terrifying explosion in the martial arts field. Everyone saw Xian Mu flying out, and a blood arrow was shot out in midair. Kill! At this moment, Wang Quan under heaven, who was sitting in the spectator stand, suddenly made his move. In an instant, he was above Ling Xiao. Dynasty Tyrant Fist. The terrifying fist force smashed towards Ling Xiao's head. Everyone was dumbfounded by this scene. Wang Quan, under heaven, suddenly attacked Ling Xiao. Was he looking down on the elders of the Golden Firmament region? This was crazy. However, they didn't know that Wang Quan, under heaven, only wanted Ling Xiao to die. The moment he saw Ling Xiao defeat Xianmu, he vaguely thought he saw himself being sent flying. He couldn't wait any longer. As long as he could kill Ling Xiao, it didn't matter if he was despised by countless people. Moreover, he had thought about it. Ling Xiao wasn't even a disciple of the Golden Palace. Even if he killed him and the Golden Firmament region wasn't happy, he just needed to compensate them. The Golden Firmament region couldn't possibly kill an ordinary disciple like Ling Xiao, right? Just as he was about to succeed, a golden light suddenly stopped Wang Quan under heaven. Perhaps everyone else was stunned. However, Little Gold and Cold Plum weren't. Neither were Ghost Sword and Qi Niming. At almost the same time, the four of them made their move. But in the end, Xiao Jin was faster. When Wang Quan under heaven stood up, he also made his move. Boom! Fists collided with fists. The duel between half-step divine physique echelon experts caused the training field to be in shambles. You people from the Eternal Emperor region are really shameless. Elders, are you not going to do anything about this? Little Gold roared. Wang Quan under heaven, are you crazy? The elders of the Eternal Emperor region had ugly expressions. Wang Quan under heaven's actions were really embarrassing for the Eternal Emperor region. Although the Eternal Emperor region was the strongest among the 4 regions and 9 worlds, they didn't dare to offend the other forces at the same time. Doing so would only make them a joke. Moreover, if you want to launch a sneak attack, it's fine if you succeed. The key point was that he failed and was stopped by someone. What a disgrace. Go back. An elder from the Eternal Emperor region shouted. Although Kingship of the World was unwilling, he knew very well that he had failed. Not only did he lose face today, but he also failed to kill Ling Xiao. How could this ant's life be so strong? You want to leave so easily after making a move? Dream on, Little Gold. Ling Xiao knew that he couldn't kill King of the World right now, but he still wanted to teach him a lesson. There was no need for the 2 brothers to understand. Xiao Jin naturally understood. In the blink of an eye, he stopped King of the World. Ling Xiao instantly used the Cosmic Light God Fist. Before anyone could react, Wang Quan was sent flying with a punch. It landed heavily on the spectator stands. Pooh! Wang Quan's world spat out a mouthful of blood. Although he wasn't seriously injured, it was still embarrassing. How dare you attack me? He was practically roaring out the words. Only you are allowed to launch sneak attacks on others, but others are not allowed to attack you. Ling Xiao sneered. Who do you think you are? I'm a genius of the Eternal Palace, and you're just an ant. Kingship of the World was still shouting. Enough! Haven't you embarrassed yourself enough? Get lost! Yu Qin suddenly stood up and slapped Kingship of the World's face. After all, the Eternal Palace still cared about their reputation. Even if they wanted to kill someone, they shouldn't use such a method. Since they used it, they shouldn't have failed. Since they had failed, they shouldn't pester endlessly. That would only make people laugh. Kingship of the World was stunned for a moment. In the end, he glared at Ling Xiao fiercely and turned to leave. As expected, he was still somewhat afraid of Yu Qin. Although Yu Qin wasn't as strong as his elder brother, he was still a member of the imperial family. After Kingship of the World left, the storm finally calmed down. Everyone's evaluation of Ling Xiao increased by a lot, especially those who were preparing to participate in the assessment. No one felt that he wasn't qualified anymore. At this moment, everyone's attention was on Xianmu. Xianmu had already been rescued by the people of the Savage Beast region. His physical body was almost destroyed. Fortunately, it wasn't completely destroyed. Otherwise, it would be very troublesome to recover. Seeing the scene, some people looked at Ling Xiao with a shocked expression. He can seriously injure Xianmu, who's in the 8th stage of the core fragmentation realm, without using a treasure. I'm afraid his strength has already reached the 9th stage of the core fragmentation realm. Who's blind to say that he's not qualified to enter the heavenly ruins? The elders of the Golden Sky region looked at Ling Xiao with shining eyes. Who didn't like geniuses? Moreover, Ling Xiao was a genius who was somewhat different from the rest. Ling Xiao, you didn't embarrass the Golden City, nor did you embarrass the Flame Emperor. As the second in command of the Patriarch Society, he naturally had good information. Ling Xiao was the champion of the Golden Battle of the 3,000 holy cities. He had some kind of relationship with the Flame Emperor. He knew all about it. Thank you for the praise, Elder. Ling Xiao cupped his hands and said, Do well. The Golden City won't mistreat you. Don't worry about those rascals. The Elder said again. Ling Xiao naturally knew who he was talking about. He couldn't help but smile and say, I understand. However, I've always been the type to seek revenge for the smallest grievance. I hope that some people don't provoke me. Otherwise, he'll only end up worse than Xianmu. With that, he turned and left. Little Gold, Cold Plum, Dong Huangyu, and Sword Tiger followed closely behind. Everyone looked at this domineering figure and felt a deep sense of emotion. I thought that we'd be much stronger than him after receiving the Demon Emperor's guidance. I didn't expect that we'd still be inferior to him in the end. Ghost Sword smiled bitterly. Yeah, but I'm really happy to see him. Perhaps we can work together after entering the heavenly ruins, Qi Niming said, over at the Savage Beast region side. Xianmu wailed miserably, Zilin, avenge me! Don't worry. Whether or not today's incident happened, I'll definitely kill him. This person was too terrifying. His speed of growth was so fast that it was shocking. If we don't kill him, we'll all become his prey. Qilin's expression didn't look too good. Yu Huajun looked at Ling Xiao's back with excitement in her eyes. It can't be wrong, even though he hid it well. Although he hid well, I can still feel that it's the power of the demonic Tao. He must have obtained some benefits in the demon suppression forest. If we want to make a move, we can only do it in the heavenly ruins. We'll have to send out the most elite forces of the Yu Hua Divine Sect. The Yu Hua Divine Sect didn't have a quota. However, obtaining a quota wasn't a problem. The remaining 9 teams were determined for the next test. 3 of them were from the Yu Hua Divine Sect. 1 of them was from the Savage Beast region. There were only 5 teams that were truly independent teams. Yu Huajun's plan was naturally to be carried out by these 3 teams. This trip to the heavenly ruins seemed like a simple treasure hunt, but in reality it was a competition between the 4 regions and the 9 worlds. Whoever obtained the best treasures would obtain the most treasures. Naturally, they would win glory for their faction and bring great benefits. Chapter 4537. The next day was the opening of the heavenly ruins. A total of 23 teams had gathered in the City of Adventure. There were 23 teams from the 4 regions and 9 worlds. There were 9 neutral teams. One of them was the Battle Alliance's team. There was one more team out of the original 22, but it didn't affect them much. Although Little Gold was in the Battle Alliance's team, their overall strength was still inferior to the teams from the 4 regions and 9 worlds. Of course, the 9 neutral teams were the weakest. The other teams had 10 members each. Only the Battle Alliance's team had 5 members. In total, there were 225 people. If the martial artists who were in the heavenly ruins and hadn't come out yet were included, this competition would be very exciting. After all the teams had gathered, they headed toward the heavenly ruins under the leadership of the Patriarch Society. It was called Heavenly Ruins, but it was actually hell. Over the thousands of years, the heavenly ruins had devoured countless lives. However, there were still people who rushed to their deaths. It was not because of anything else, but because there were treasures inside that made people excited. Everyone seemed to be very nervous. Even those who knew each other very well rarely spoke. Wang Quan, under the heavens, ignored Ling Xiao today. He had probably thought of how to deal with Ling Xiao in the heavenly ruins. He didn't need to worry about it outside. The strange one was Yu Qin. Yu Qin should have known about the relationship between Ling Xiao and Yu Fenghua by now. He walked to Ling Xiao's side under the surprised gazes of the others. "Kid, you came from Yuhua town. It wasn't easy for you to achieve what you have today. However, Fenghua isn't someone you can match up to. You'd better remember that. Besides, Fenghua and Tianming are already engaged. I don't want to cause any trouble." His voice was arrogant, cold, and filled with a commanding aura. Ling Xiao looked at him contemptuously and sneered. "Who do you think you are? How dare you tell me what to do? Do you want to die too?" Yu Chun was stunned. How dare someone talk to him like that? Even Zilin and Heifeng, who were half-step divine physique echelon experts, had to be respectful in front of him. In his imagination, Ling Xiao should be trembling with fear. "I am a member of the Eternal Palace. Yu Fenghua is my cousin." Yu Chen sneered. "So what? That only proves that your family background is illustrious. At the same time, it also shows your incompetence." Ling Xiao chuckled. "I used more than 2 years to travel from Ascension Town to the chaotic desert sea. From an ant in your eyes, I became a threat to you. What about you? Over the past 2 years, your cultivation hasn't changed at all, and your strength hasn't improved at all. I really don't understand. How can you be so arrogant in front of me? As for the relationship, you're just Fenghua's cousin, but I'm Fenghua's man." Yu Chen's expression became more and more unsightly. The young man in front of her had an unyielding spirit, disregarding everything, disregarding power. It was impossible to use power and status to suppress him. "Your talent is indeed terrifying. Even I feel fear, but you still haven't grown up yet. The world is huge, and you've only seen a small part of it. Don't be too arrogant. It won't do you any good." Yu Qin said coldly. "Why do I feel that you're even more arrogant than me? After seeing my talent and tenacity, shouldn't you be more obedient in front of me?" Ling Xiao laughed. "It seems like there's nothing more to say between us. I'm just here to tell you that you're not qualified to be a toad lusting after a swan's meat. In the end, you're still just an ant. In order to prevent you from affecting my eternal palace, I'll kill you in the ruins. You better pray that you don't meet me." After saying that, Yu Chen turned and left. "People of the Eternal Emperor region, listen up. I'll kill Wang Quan under heaven, and Yu Chen, you better not associate yourselves with the two of them. Otherwise, I won't let any of you off." Yu Chen froze on the spot after hearing those words. What a lunatic! How dare he provoke the Eternal Emperor region? "Ha ha, ha ha ha, you're courting death." Yu Chen laughed and walked into the group of people from the Eternal Emperor region. Ling Xiao looked at them coldly and revealed a sinister smile. Finally, he could confidently stand on equal footing with these so-called geniuses. 2 years ago, these people were simply mythical existences in his eyes. The rest of the people from the Eternal Emperor region didn't take Ling Xiao's threat seriously. They thought it was just a lunatic's declaration. It wasn't worth mentioning. However, Wang Quan under heaven couldn't help but tremble. He suddenly thought of that black figure. Until now, he still didn't know what it was. However, that black figure did come out from Ling Xiao's body. I hope it's just an accident. Wang Quan under heaven could only pray like that. Suddenly, the pressure in front of them increased. The cultivators felt their bodies trembling. It was a suffocating aura of death. It was as though one's life would end if they took a breath. What's that? Everyone looked in front of them in horror. There was a huge teleportation gate. The terrifying aura of death was released from it. It was cold and austere. Even their souls were trembling. The Heaven Ruins is just a name to the outside world. Yu Huajun, who was leading the group, suddenly spoke. For those of us who have entered it, we prefer to call it the world of dead souls. Those terrifying things that you can't imagine in the outside world can be encountered here. Therefore, this is the last time I ask you, are you willing to enter? Accept the baptism of the dead souls. No one left. Since they were already here, who would leave? Moreover, those who dared to come to the chaotic desert were all lunatics. Would lunatics be afraid of death? At the very least, they wouldn't be afraid before the real threat arrived. The huge teleportation gate was located in a dark and damp canyon. The vegetation near the teleportation gate had turned black due to the aura of death released from it. Good, you're all brave warriors. Yu Huajun sneered. He knew that more than half of the 200 people would die tragically. This was an extremely cruel competition and trial. He had experienced it before and was lucky enough to survive. That was how he became a divine body realm cultivator today. Strange patterns were drawn on the modeled teleportation gate. The words on it were also slightly different from the words in the 4 regions and 9 worlds. Even though Ling Xiao had the Tai Chi eye, he still couldn't understand it. However, those patterns were enough to tell that this wasn't a good place. World of Dead Souls. This name is really appropriate. I feel like we're not going in to look for treasures, but to seek death. Ling Xiao smiled. I have the same feeling. This damned place is more terrifying than the other ruins I've been to. I wonder what the real name of the Eternal Ruins is compared to the Heaven Ruins. Rumor has it that the ruins are even more terrifying than the world of dead souls. Little Gold frowned. Mobile version update website. M. Chapter 4538. If a brother is of one heart, he can cut through metal. You'll know what a scary place is like after going through it. Ling Xiao could still smell Yu Xin's aura in the endless aura of death. Despite the heavy aura of death, Yu Xin was still powerful. The portal wasn't built by the Board of Patriarchs. Maybe it was a native of the Eternal Desert. In any case, it had been here since people from the 4 regions and 9 worlds arrived. It had been here for thousands of years. Looks like the Board of Patriarchs really values this ruin. Ling Xiao's divine consciousness became stronger after the lotus flower incident. After all, he swallowed 1/10 of the lotus flower's divine consciousness power. Therefore, he discovered that there were close to 200 divine body realm powerhouses in the darkness. This was his first time seeing so many divine body realm powerhouses. He couldn't help but sigh. His current strength was still too weak. Perhaps he was already outstanding among the young people. However, in this world, young people were only a small part of it. These divine body realm powerhouses were all over 100 years old. Therefore, even if they wanted to enter the world of souls, they couldn't do it. Why was that? Ling Xiao was confused. Why did the world of souls restrict martial artists over 100 years old from entering? It wasn't a restriction on strength, but on age. This was the first time he encountered such a restriction. Although they couldn't enter, the Board of Patriarchs set a rule that martial artists who entered the Heaven Ruin had to pay 90% of their gains to the Board of Patriarchs. Of course, martial artists from the 4 regions and 9 worlds only had to pay 50%. However, this was very shameless. The world of souls didn't belong to anyone. Other people risked their lives to enter and come out alive, and they still had to give you 50% or even 90%. Everyone knew that this was very shameless. However, the Board of Patriarchs was powerful enough. You could choose not to enter. If you wanted to enter, you had to follow their rules. Perhaps because he cultivated the demon path. Ling Xiao was very disgusted by such rules. 50%? Don't even think about taking away anything that I got with my own abilities. He sneered. Of course, he wouldn't say this out loud. He just had to do it. Of course, if some treasures were really useless, the Board of Patriarchs could give generous rewards. He could also use them to exchange. However, they wanted him to give them to them for free? No way. Of course, the Patriarch Society was not satisfied with such shameless methods. Ling Xiao noticed that they were trying to crack the barriers of the world of souls while guarding the place. Perhaps one day, even divine physique echelon experts would be able to enter it. All right. Now enter the world of souls in order. Let me remind you that you should have already entered quite a few small worlds. Like many other small worlds, This portal was randomly teleported. After you go in, do you want to meet up with your teammates as soon as possible? Or do you want to go on your own? Make your own decisions. All right, it's getting late. Let's begin. After Yu Huajun finished speaking, she looked coldly at Ling Xiao. It was as if he was saying, without the protection of Prince Jin, let's see what you can do. Ling Xiao smiled disdainfully. Did he need protection? In fact, he was more worried about Dong Huangyu now. Dong Huangyu was the weakest among the five. She was the most dangerous. He didn't need to worry about Xiao Jin, Sword Tiger, and Cold Plum. Good disciple, take this 9 revolutions gourd. The 9 revolutions gourd was Ling Xiao's best treasure. However, his strength had increased tremendously, and he didn't need it anymore. It was naturally best to give it to Dong Huangyu. Others called him master, but he had yet to give this adorable disciple a single treasure. Master, you can't. Dong Huangyu hurriedly waved her hands. You little girl, others can't wait to get something from me, but you don't want it. Take it, I don't need it anymore. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. His physical strength was already comparable to the divine phoenix battle armor, an emperor artifact with 4 dragon patterns. The 9 revolutions gourd was only used to show off. It wasn't very useful. Thank you, master. Dong Huangyu received it. Xiao, Jin, and Cold Plum naturally didn't need his treasures. One was a prince of the Beast Emperor Palace, while the other was the Kai Dai Saintess of the Saintess Palace. It was impossible for them to not have treasures. Then he glanced at Qi Yaoguang and Black Pearl. In order not to implicate the 2 girls, he secretly told them not to acknowledge each other. This way, the 2 girls would be safer. However, the world of dead souls was filled with danger. He still had 2 treasures that he planned to give to the 2 of them. He didn't even need the 9 revolutions gourd, let alone the twin tiger divine seal and the cursed demon dagger. It would be a waste to keep them on him. He might as well give them to his friends. Therefore, he walked to Ghost Sword's side and gave the 2 items to him. He whispered in his ear. Ghost Sword was much stronger than Qi Yaoguang and Black Pearl. Even if he was targeted, he wouldn't be afraid. Understood. Ghost Sword understood what he meant. He gave the 2 items to Black Pearl and Qi Yaoguang when no one was paying attention. When the 2 girls received the treasures and realized that it was an emperor artifact with a dragon pattern, they immediately blushed. Actually, they also knew that Ling Xiao only treated them as friends of the opposite sex. But even so, they didn't care. They were happy to receive Ling Xiao's gift. During this time, many teams had already entered the teleportation gate. Finally, it was the Battle Alliance's turn. Everyone be careful. Safety first. After saying that, the 5 of them entered the teleportation gate. After a series of spatial fluctuations, Ling Xiao suddenly felt his feet land on solid ground. He opened his eyes and looked around. This place was desolate and eerie. The ground was filled with eerie white bones. It made one feel uncomfortable. As expected, they're all gone. There was no one around Ling Xiao. Only the white jade cat crawled out of his arms and then shrank back. It's over. How did you come to this place? You're dead. The white jade cat had always been timid. Ling Xiao was used to it, so he didn't care. He opened his Tai Chi eye and tried to find Xiao Jin and the others. However, he found that the Tai Chi eye's field of vision was only 1/10 of before. It was much smaller. What a powerful world of dead souls. Not only can it suppress divine sense, but it can also suppress my Tai Chi eye. Ling Xiao couldn't sense the aura of his companions and was a little worried. However, he remembered that these people had been adventuring alone for a long time and nothing had happened. He was relieved. Their survival ability is not much weaker than mine. For now, I should worry about myself. Thinking of this, he began to observe the situation around him. Even if the Tai Chi eye was weakened, he could still see within a radius of 1 li. It didn't matter what he looked at, but it really gave him a fright. In the distance, a group of strange creatures were wandering aimlessly. This group of creatures seemed to be dead. But the strange thing was that they were obviously intelligent. From time to time, they would look around as if waiting for the next victim to come. End of chapter. Chapter 4539. This was a pack of wolves, and their fur was all gray. Their eyes were also filled with a gray aura. They really looked like creatures that crawled out of hell. No wonder Yu Huajun said this was the world of dead souls. Of course, if that was all, it wouldn't scare Ling Xiao. The scariest thing was that the wolf king of this pack of dead soul wolves had actually reached the half-step divine body realm. Perhaps its combat power was even stronger than most half-step divine body realms. The wolf king's subordinates were divided into 4 teams. The wolf generals of each team had also reached the 9th level of the Shattered Core realm. The rest of the dead soul wolves were at least the 6th level of the Shattered Core realm. There were a total of about 100 of them, and the surrounding beasts weren't just limited to these dead soul wolves. In the pitch-black pool, in the gloomy and cold forest, in the cloudy sky, almost everywhere was filled with these uncomfortable creatures. They were lifeless, just like dead souls. Ling Xiao didn't plan to alarm these terrifying monsters for the time being. Relying on the vision of the Tai Chi eye, he quickly left the place. But after walking for a few minutes, the ground suddenly shook, as if there was a giant beast approaching. Ling Xiao frowned. He directly entered the Shadow Dancer form and hid. The Shadow Dancer form was the first layer of protection. But because this form was discovered by the beasts in the Demon Suppression Forest, Ling Xiao felt that it wasn't safe. Not long after he hid, the Tai Chi eye captured the appearance of an extremely strange creature. This monster was about 5 meters tall. It was like a standing mountain goat. Its huge horns and the wool all over its body were actually black. As it ran, it constantly released a terrifying aura of death. Its eyes were extremely red. The places this monster passed by seemed to be burning with black flames. The ground was scorched black. What kind of monster is this? Such a powerful dark aura. Ling Xiao didn't rush out, because he realized that this terrifying mountain goat strength had already reached the 9th level of the Shattered Core realm. It definitely wouldn't be easy to defeat it. Ling Xiao believed that if he didn't use the Sky Tyrant Martial Soul, he wouldn't be able to hurt this monster at all. There's someone. After that monster, people appeared in his vision. A group of 4, 3 men and 1 woman. How lucky we are. We've just entered the world of souls, and we've already found such a powerful black goat. The death spirit black goat's crystal core could resist the death energy of the world of souls. Their bones and fur are excellent materials for refining magical equipment. One of them laughed as he launched an attack. Ling Xiao had some impression of this person. He seemed to be a martial artist from the neutral team, and his strength was at the 9th level of the Shattered Core realm. As for the other 3 people, their strength was also extraordinary. They had all reached the 8th level of the Shattered Core stage. It was impossible for any of them to win against the undead spirit black goat alone. Only by working together could the undead spirit black goat suffer a loss. As they spoke, the 3 men and 1 woman had already caught up to the undead spirit black goat and surrounded it. Moreover, the woman in the lead had a treasure in her hands. It was the sword in her hand that could release lightning. Furthermore, it was an emperor weapon with a dragon mark. No wonder the undead spirit black goat would flee in panic when faced with such an attack. However, the undead spirit black goat was not to be trifled with. After being surrounded, they immediately became ruthless and began to fight crazily. It would not be easy for the 4 people to take it down in a short period of time. Ling Xiao frowned slightly. The undead spirit black goat was very useful to him. He was on the 12 divine beasts throne. Only the goat god and the horse god did not have a beast soul. As a 9th level Shattered Core stage demonic beast, the undead spirit black goat was very suitable. At the same time, it could also be a material for the cultivation of the 12 divine beasts technique. He watched coldly and did not make a move. If he made a move now, Not only would he not be able to snatch the undead spirit black goat, but he would also be surrounded. With his current strength, he could fight the female martial artist in a one-on-one situation. He might be able to win. However, it would be troublesome if he was surrounded by the four people. Moreover, once he came out, the undead spirit black goat would probably escape. Then it would be meaningless. Who is it? However, what Ling Xiao did not expect was that the female martial artist in the lead actually sensed his presence. She immediately looked at the place where Ling Xiao was hiding. This woman is powerful. I'm afraid she has some special martial soul? Ling Xiao thought for a moment. He originally planned to reap the benefits. Now it seemed impossible. Since that was the case, he might as well leave first and use the convenience of the Tai Chi eye to follow. He would find a suitable opportunity to snatch the undead spirit black goat. Fang Heng, Zhang Che, you two go in that direction and check it out. There must be someone. Don't let others reap the benefits. This undead spirit black goat has already been seriously injured by us. It's enough to leave Qin Fei and me. The female martial artist looked like someone who often entered ruins to adventure. She was not flustered at all. Moreover, she commanded well. Understood, big sister. Fan Heng and Zhang Che surrounded Ling Xiao from two directions. Ling Xiao frowned slightly. These four people were probably the first to meet up in the 10-man team. Obviously, the four of them cooperated very well. If he was surrounded by them, it would be very troublesome. It seemed that he could only use some extreme methods. He looked at Fang Heng. Although Fang Heng was at the 8th level of the Shattered Core stage like Zhang Che, his aura was obviously weaker. He believed that he would be easier to capture. In the next moment, he suddenly dashed out. He turned into an afterimage and quickly approached Fang Heng. Who is it? Fang Heng was also very smart. When he saw someone approaching him, he instantly thought of using him as a hostage, or to kill him first. Therefore, he immediately fled in the opposite direction. Demonic Eye Illusion Demon. Although Ling Xiao's speed was very fast, the opponent's speed was not slow either. Therefore, he instantly made a decision. He used the Demonic Eye. Fang Heng was about to escape when he suddenly felt a pair of terrifying eyes staring at him. At that moment, his vision completely disappeared and he was immersed in darkness. As if he had sunk into a swamp, a cold feeling appeared on his body. He desperately struggled, but found that he was sinking deeper and deeper. Who are you? You actually know such a powerful soul secret technique. Are you from the Soul Prison Palace? Although Fang Heng was very scared, he still maintained some calmness. He desperately urged his soul power to try to escape from this illusion. Soul Prison Palace? Just from the name, it was not simple. A place to imprison souls? It was probably a force in the chaotic sand ocean. It should not be as powerful as the Yu Hua Divine Sect, not to mention the Council of Elders and the Beast Deity Alliance. Ling Xiao. Because Fang Heng was controlled by the illusion, he could not see Ling Xiao's appearance clearly. However, the other three could see it clearly. No one who entered the world of souls did not recognize Ling Xiao's face. It was actually Ling Xiao. Fang Heng's heart was filled with fear. In the chaotic sand ocean, there were a lot of rumors about Ling Xiao. For example, this guy killed people like flies. You better not come over. Otherwise, I'm afraid there will be a life left here. Ling Xiao used the demonic eye to control Fang Heng. Then, he jumped up and grabbed Fang Heng's neck. Chapter 4540. Ling Xiao grabbed Fang Heng's neck. The other three wanted to save him, but it was too late. Ling Xiao looked over and saw that the undead spirit, black goat, was already lying on the ground, on the verge of death. Ling Xiao, we have no feud with you. You don't have to do this, do you? Let's mind our own business and mind our own business. You go your way and we'll go ours. The leader frowned and said, I, Xin Yaning, promise you that we won't attack you if you let Fang Heng go. Xin Yaning was quite strong. She was in the 9th stage of the core fragmentation stage. She was second only to the half-step divine body realm monsters. She thought her words were effective. Moreover, she was not afraid of Ling Xiao. Even if Ling Xiao could defeat Xianmu was only in the 8th stage of the core fragmentation stage. Aren't you a little too naive? The Council of Patriarchs allowed the 23 teams to enter the world of dead souls. They didn't say that we can't kill each other. Ling Xiao said indifferently, I don't want to say anything unnecessary. Give me the Black Goat Slayer and you can have him. How is that possible? We worked so hard to kill the Black Goat Slayer, and you want us to give it to you? Do you think we're idiots? Zhang Che said angrily. Do as you wish. Ling Xiao said sarcastically, I'll kill him now. Don't. Shan Yaning shouted hurriedly. We can use the Black Goat Slayer to exchange for him. But how can we guarantee that you'll let him go after you take the Black Goat Slayer? That's simple. Leave the hostage here. You guys retreat 1,000 meters away. Leave the Black Goat Slayer 1,000 meters away. I'll leave immediately after I take the Black Goat Slayer. How about that? Ling Xiao had already thought of a countermeasure. Agreed. Shen Yaning was a little surprised. Ling Xiao's plan was actually beneficial to them. Great. Ling Xiao smiled and put Fong Hung on the ground. Then everyone retreated. The Black Goat Slayer was also pushed 1,000 meters away by Shen Yaning, Zhang Che and Qin Fei. Big sister, this Ling Xiao is an idiot. He's only 100 meters away from us, and he's 1,000 meters away from Fong Hung. This hostage was no longer a hostage. Why don't we make a move? If the 3 of us work together, we can definitely kill him. We can't let the undead spirit Black Goat be taken away by him. Zhang Che said. Shen Yaning hesitated, because in her impression, Ling Xiao was definitely not a fool. Since he dared to do this, he must have his reasons. However, before she could speak, Qin Fei suddenly dashed out. Their target was the hostage, Fong Hung. You two guard the undead spirit Black Goat. I'll save Fong Hung. Qin Fei shouted as he dashed out. Shen Yaning panicked. No. However, right at this moment, one of Fong Hang's arms suddenly exploded, blood splattering everywhere. Qin Fei was taken aback. Shen Yaning and Zhang Che were also shocked. This is just a warning. It's not wrong to listen to your big sister. I'm a person who keeps her promises. Since you've kept your promises, I naturally won't act recklessly. Otherwise, if something like this happens again, he will definitely die. Ling Xiao's cold voice sounded. I won't. Take the undead spirit Black Goat and leave. Shan Yaning knew that she had fallen this time, but she couldn't ignore Fong Hang's life. Fong Hung was the son of their sect master. If he really died here, she would definitely not have a good life. Shen Yaning had always thought that she had overestimated Ling Xiao, but now she realized that she had still underestimated him. This Ling Xiao was not only ruthless, but also cunning. As he had expected, daring to put down the hostage meant that he had the confidence. Everyone, bye-bye. After keeping the undead spirit Black Goat into the mountain river world, Ling Xiao flew into the air. He didn't feel the slightest bit guilty. In the world of death, the strong preyed on the weak. If he was captured by the other party, he would definitely be killed. And he had only taken away the undead spirit Black Goat, which was already giving them face. Damn it, we worked so hard for half a day, but in the end, we didn't get anything. Qin Fei was so angry that he was burning with anger. Big sister, when our team meets up, we must kill this Ling Xiao. Zhang Che also said. This grudge must be avenged. Fong Hung was the most excited. If I don't twist that guy's head off, I won't be at ease. Don't be agitated. Don't forget that our purpose in entering the world of death is not to kill each other. We're here to find treasures. Killing Ling Xiao will only be a waste of time. It wasn't that Shen Yaning didn't want to kill Ling Xiao, but the problem was that she felt that even if 10 people joined forces, it was impossible to do so. It wasn't that they couldn't beat him, but that Ling Xiao was extremely cunning. Perhaps before they could make a move, he would have already escaped. Coward! Fong Hung scolded. Xin Yanning's expression was a little ugly. If it wasn't to save Fong Hung, they wouldn't have exchanged the undead spirit black goat. But now Fong Hung wasn't grateful at all, and instead scolded her. It was really unpleasant. Just as she was about to say something, Xin Yanning's expression suddenly changed. Run! She saw a swarm of black mosquitoes in the sky. The mosquitoes were extremely small, but they were densely packed, almost forming a black fog. What's wrong, big sister? They're from the abyss of demon. Xin Yanning didn't have time to explain. She grabbed Fong Hung and ran away. However, the mosquitoes that looked like a black fog were still following them in the sky. About 2 or 3 miles away from them, 5 people were standing there. They were dressed in black uniforms with strange skull patterns drawn on them. They were the warriors from the abyss of demon. 5 of the 10 people in the team. One of them was controlling something with his eyes closed. A strange martial soul appeared behind him. It was more like a nest of insects. It was a woman with a coquettish aura from head to toe. But she was extremely dangerous. Her attire was extremely gorgeous and colorful. In addition to the patterns exclusive to the abyss of demon, there were also some mosquito patterns on her body. Haha, escape? You've been targeted by my babies, and you still want to escape? These neutral idiots shouldn't have come in this time's heaven relic. The woman laughed strangely, and it was a little creepy. Even the 4 people with her couldn't help but distance themselves from her. Senior Sister 100 Bugs, have you found the prey? One of them said with a smile. Go, my babies will lead the way for you. 100 Bugs smiled and waved her hand. The other 4 people immediately rushed out. These 4 people were all experts of the 9th level of the Shattered Core stage. A distance of 2 or 3 miles was only a matter of seconds for experts of this level. Oh no, we're surrounded. Xin Yanning suddenly stopped. Looking at the mosquitoes flying in the sky, she frowned. It's that evil woman 100 Bugs. It's her. Hearing the name 100 Bugs, the other 3 people's faces changed. Fong Hung began to cry. Xin Yanning, you have to save me. He hugged Xin Yanning's leg and shouted. Save you? I don't even know if I can leave here alive. I'm so unlucky. From the looks of it, meeting Ling Xiao might actually be a fortunate thing. If I knew this would happen, I would have joined hands with him. Xin Yanning sighed and looked at the sky full of mosquitoes that were constantly descending. Chapter 45-41. While Xin Yanning and the others were being attacked, Ling Xiao had already found a safe place. He started to merge with the black goat. This would be a fusion that would fill the gap. Perhaps it could directly raise Ling Xiao's cultivation to the completion stage of the ultimate core stage. At that time, even without the Sky Tyrant martial soul, he could easily defeat a 9th level Shattered Core martial artist. As for a half-step divine origin martial artist, he could use the Sky Tyrant martial soul to fight. It was even possible for him to win. As soon as he sat down, his Tai Chi eye suddenly captured a terrifying scene 1 mile away. Black mosquitoes covered the sky and surrounded the 4 people, including Xin Yanning. However, the black mosquitoes couldn't block his vision. He could see, clearly. The black mosquitoes pounced on the injured Fong Hung. Fong Hung let out a terrified cry. Xin Yanning calmly dealt with it. However, at this moment, for black shadows quickly attacked. Sigh, the world of souls is indeed terrifying. Except for Xin Yanning, I'm afraid none of them can escape. Ling Xiao sighed. He didn't pay much attention to the martial artists from the abyss. He didn't expect them to be so terrifying. It should be said that there were no weaklings in the 4 regions and 9 worlds. Fong Hung let out a shrill cry. Xin Yanning was entangled by the experts from the abyss and couldn't protect him anymore. In an instant, Fong Hung was devoured by the mosquitoes and became a skeleton. In the end, even his inner core was eaten clean. How cruel! In the next moment, Chun Fei and Zhang Che were also killed. The ones who killed them were a giant scorpion as tall as a mountain and a centipede like a dragon. Just what kind of person's divine ability is this? It can actually do this? Ling Xiao couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. Shan Yaning could have escaped, but this woman was too emotional. In the end, she was captured. Ling Xiao didn't need to think to know what would happen to her. The demon realm of the 9 underworlds is really vicious. I have to be careful. Ling Xiao closed his eyes and stopped thinking. He started to merge. Oh, there's even a pretty girl. Not bad. In the next moment, Baizong arrived late. When he saw Xin Yaning's tattered clothes, he could not help but reveal a very uncomfortable smile. Senior sister, can you let us enjoy this woman after you're done with her? A warrior from the 9 underworlds demon realm said with a smile. This person had a protruding mouth and monkey-like cheeks. He had a wretched look on his face, which made people dislike him. Of course. 100 Worms smiled, while Xin Yaning was already close to despair. But now that she was in someone's hands, she couldn't even commit suicide. The mosquitoes that filled the sky flew back into Baizong's body. Upon closer inspection, one would discover that the pores on Baizong's body were much larger than those of ordinary people. Those mosquitoes flew out from that place. This woman actually raised mosquitoes in her body. Just thinking about it made him shudder. The moment he recalled the mosquitoes, Worm's expression suddenly changed. Oh no, someone saw us fight. Impossible. Senior sister, 100 bugs mosquitoes have been searching nearby. Who can avoid your detection? The monkey-faced guy exclaimed. Herder monkey, don't underestimate the enemy. This person should be the one who just took the dead spirit black goat. 100 Worms looked at Shen Yaning and sneered. Who is he? Do you think I'll tell you? No matter if I tell you or not, you won't let me go. Shen Yaning sneered. Haha, you'll tell me. 100 Worms sneered. His laughter was like the whisper of a devil from hell. But now, the important thing is that guy didn't leave and seems to be spying on us nearby. Good fellow, he's really bold. 100 Worms' eyes flashed with a touch of ruthlessness. No matter what, we have to find this guy. We can't let him find out about the plan of the 9 underworlds. We can't let him tell others. 100 Worms' eyes flashed with a cold black light. No matter who it was, they couldn't be left alive. Ling Xiao did not pay attention to the 5 people from the 9 underworlds demon realm. Their vision was definitely not as good as his, so they had to rely on those mosquitoes to find the target. He was hiding in a very safe place, so he was not afraid of being discovered, unless he took the initiative to expose himself. But for safety's sake, he still threw down 2 formation refining stones to isolate the sound and aura. Being proficient in formations gave him a great advantage. A very ordinary-looking flower appeared in each of the 8 directions around him, but only he knew that those things were like sentries used to guard against enemies. When someone came within 300 meters of him, the sentries would sound the alarm. Of course, only he could hear it. Next, he began his journey of fusion with all his heart. He took out the dead spirit, black goat's monster core, and swallowed it. The next moment, a terrifying black gas appeared around his body. Even the shadow of the dead spirit, black goat, appeared. At this moment, the surrounding death chi no longer posed a threat to his body. Instead, it crazily rushed into his body, becoming the key to his advancement. About half an hour later, behind Ling Xiao, a strange shadow of the dead spirit black goat appeared. This dead spirit black goat held a huge scythe in its hand, looking ferocious. A pair of scarlet eyes seemed to see through death. Ling Xiao opened his eyes. The fusion was very smooth, and his cultivation had finally advanced to the peak of the core realm. But to go from the peak to the core realm, it wasn't so easy. It would probably take a long time. Of course, he wasn't so anxious now. The dead spirit black goat filled the gap above his goat god body. Naturally, he also gained 2 more powerful abilities. The first was the dead spirit body. Entering this state, he would not be harmed by any physical or elemental attacks. The only weakness was soul force attacks. On the other hand, under the dead spirit body state, Ling Xiao could only use soul secret techniques to attack. But the attack power was increased by 10 times. The second was Dark Siphon, absorbing the enemy's vitality and physical strength to restore his own vitality and physical strength. This was used in battle. It was simply awesome. His cultivation had broken through, and he had obtained a new divine ability special skill. Ling Xiao was in a good mood. However, at this moment, an alarm suddenly sounded in his mind. Southeast. He suddenly opened his eyes and looked, for figures had already appeared in his field of vision. Of these 4 figures, there were actually only 2 people. The other 2 were puppets. However, these puppets looked very real, almost no different from a real person. Ling Xiao instantly disappeared on the spot. 2 9th level core shattering stage martial artists had arrived. There were also 2 9th level core realm puppets. He wasn't a match for them in a head-on battle, so he still had to pay attention to some tactics. The leader was a man, and his body was actually wrapped in a black snake. The black snake was more than 10 meters long. It kept flicking its tongue, and a cold light flashed in its eyes. Chapter 45-42. This man's appearance was also very strange. His body was as dry as a dead tree. It seemed that his vitality was absorbed by the snake. However, there was a cold, killing intent in his eyes. He didn't look weak at all. Beside him was a woman. Behind the woman, there was a pair of wings. Upon closer inspection, one would discover that the wings were actually made up of black bats. It was extremely strange. The 2 puppets were male. They looked like they were made of real people. One was holding a huge sickle, and the other was holding a long spear. The people from the 9 underworlds were indeed much more sinister than the heavenly demon, ghost territory. Ling Xiao looked at the 2 people and the 2 puppets indifferently. Although he didn't know how they found this place, the martial artists who entered the world of souls this time were all powerful. Some skills that he didn't know about were imaginable. He wasn't surprised at all. Now he was thinking about how to defeat the 2 people and the 2 puppets. As Ling Xiao retreated, he stared at these 4 figures. His eyes flashed with cold light. He couldn't stand what the 9 underworlds were doing. But after all, it didn't involve him. He was too lazy to meddle in other people's business. Looking for companions was the right thing to do. But now it was different. The people from the 9 underworlds were not even going to let him go. Then he had to find a way to make these guys suffer. Senior Sister Hundredworm is really something. She actually asked the 2 of us to deal with that Ling Xiao together. That kid is only at the late stage of the extreme realm of core. Even if his combat power is high, it's only at the level of Xianmu. Any one of us can kill him. Is it necessary for the 2 of us to attack at the same time? Furthermore, he even gave us 2 puppets. The woman was a little dissatisfied. She felt that it was a waste of talent. Okay, it's more important to complete the task. The Black Snake Man said indifferently. On the ground, there were a few insects crawling in the direction of Ling Xiao's cultivation. This was the way they found Ling Xiao. It's that insect woman again. Ling Xiao frowned. In the world of souls, divine sense was seriously weakened, so this special searching method was in high demand. Soon, following the insect, the man and woman arrived at the place where Ling Xiao had been cultivating. They even set up a formation, but they've already left. Black Snake said with a frown. He just left. Obviously, they've discovered us. A strange voice came out of Batgirl's mouth. No matter how fast he is, he won't be able to get far. You and I will each take a puppet and search the area. No matter what, we have to find him. This man is crucial to the success of our plan, Black Snake said. However, at this moment, his expression changed drastically. Dodge. Ambush. A very dangerous aura came from behind them. That feeling was enough to kill them. Therefore, even though they were extremely proud of themselves before, Their expressions changed drastically at this moment. 12 Divine Beast Technique, 10th level. As soon as Ling Xiao made his move, he immediately used the move with the strongest area of effect, destructive power that he could currently perform. The terrifying aura of a giant beast came from behind them. By the time the two wanted to dodge, it was already too late. The only thing he could do was to resist. The 10 giant beasts merged into one, with the Gingjin serpent as their leader. They blasted the two of them. The 12 Divine Beast Technique used different giant beasts as the leader, so the attacks produced would have different variations. What the Gingjin serpent released was the most terrifying cutting effect. Ling Xiao had thought it through. Even if he couldn't directly kill the two of them, it would be good enough to destroy their bodies. Boom! The Gingjin storm erupted. 4 figures were hit at the same time. The surrounding ground was already ravaged beyond recognition by the terrifying Gingjin storm. Everything within a 300-meter radius of the attack was covered in smoke and dust. It took a long time for the smoke and dust to dissipate. The 2 puppets were completely destroyed and could no longer be used. The woman's arms were broken, and there were many serious wounds on her body. She was seriously injured. She looked at Ling Xiao, who was standing there with a grin on his face, with resentment and hatred in her eyes. As for Black Snake, he didn't suffer any serious injuries, but the black color on his body had been blasted to pieces. Therefore, his expression was also very ugly. Yo, not bad. The martial artists of the infernal demon realm are indeed very strong. If it were ordinary people, they would have been completely wiped out by my sneak attack. Ling Xiao was very satisfied with the effect of his attack, but he couldn't help but praise the two of them for their reaction. The Black Snake Man, in particular, decisively abandoned his black snake to defend against the attack. At this moment, Batwoman's bat suddenly flew to the 2 broken puppets and sucked them with all its might. As they sucked, the puppets completely withered, and Batgirl's body was rapidly healing. Sure enough, those 2 puppets were made of living people, but they didn't have souls. Ling Xiao frowned. Every martial artist of the infernal demon realm was very strange and not easy to deal with. Fortunately, the 2 puppets were directly destroyed. His plan could be considered very successful. He deliberately left his aura and the array for the 2 of them to observe. In the process of observing, they would certainly be distracted. A sneak attack at this time was simply twice the result, with half the effort. The moment he discovered these 4 figures, he wanted to teach the infernal demon realm a lesson. He didn't want to be watched all the time. It didn't feel good, so he took the initiative to attack. So despicable, so shameless. Batgirl's condition was slightly better. She stood up and shouted, "You actually used a sneak attack. If I don't kill you today, I'm not a human. TCH, you really have the face to say that. Weren't those pitiful fellows killed by your sneak attacks?" Ling Xiao curled his lips and said, "Besides, you 2 are not dead. Why are you angry? I just want to warn you that you'd better not provoke me. Otherwise, I'll kill all 10 of you." Hearing this, the 2 of them looked even more unsightly. This Ling Xiao was really arrogant. After a successful sneak attack, he thought he was very strong. He even threatened to kill 10 people of the infernal demon realm. Ling Xiao, I think you're really tired of living. Since you know we're from the infernal demon realm, you should have run instead of ambushing us. The Black Snake Man sneered. A cloud of black smoke appeared, and 2 slender black lines appeared on his hands. These should be his weapons. Ling Xiao stood there and looked coldly at the Black Snake Man. He chuckled and said, "Looks like the negotiation is invalid. I'll take it as the infernal demon realm declaring war on me. Ling Xiao, is that okay?" If there were 4 9th-level core fragmentation stage existences, he could only run away. But now, 2 puppets were directly smashed by him. The woman hadn't fully recovered yet. Only the man was left, so he didn't need to be afraid. Of course you can think so. We're not only going to kill you, but also your teammates of the Battle Alliance. This is the price you have to pay for sneak attacking us. The Black Snake Man licked his lips and sneered. Chapter 45-43. If you want to kill my friends, you'll have to kill me first. Of course, you have to have the strength to do so. Ling Xiao's voice gradually turned cold. These people wanted to deal with his friends, so he naturally couldn't let them live. So what if they were martial artists from the 9 underworlds? So what if they were martial artists at the 9th stage of the Shattered Core Realm? He had killed a divine physique realm martial artist before. You're as arrogant as the rumors say. Hiss hiss. The Black Snake Man shook his hands, and the black pythons released a sinister aura. A voice that sent chills down their spines rang out. It seemed that Ling Xiao had guessed correctly. This man's weapon was this living black snake. Ling Xiao rarely saw such a martial artist. Today was an eye-opener for him. Swish! Suddenly, the 2 black snakes elongated at the same time. With terrifying killing intent, they attacked Ling Xiao from completely different angles. The angles were extremely tricky. Because they were living creatures, they could even change the direction of their attacks at any time. Even the Tai Chi was difficult to grasp. Ling Xiao didn't dare to be careless. He turned into a golden light and dodged. When he was in midair, the snake shadow suddenly changed direction and attacked again. The Black Snake Man sneered. Even if you dodged once, can you do it a second time? A cold light flashed in Ling Xiao's eyes. The East Victory demonic sword suddenly appeared in his right hand. Flight light. The accuracy of attacking the black snakes might not be high, but this sword attack was aimed directly at the Black Snake Man. The Black Snake Man was a little surprised. He hurriedly controlled one of the pythons to block the attack. The other snake shadow continued to attack Ling Xiao. However, the threat level of a snake was naturally not enough to trouble Ling Xiao. He dodged it easily. The python hit the ground and released a strange green aura. In the next moment, the entire rock was instantly corroded and smashed like stinky tofu. The attack power is powerful and strange. The angle is tricky, and the weapon is also impossible to guard against. If hit, ordinary people won't be able to take it. Ling Xiao dodged the attack. Many thoughts flashed through his mind. The other party wanted to kill him. He also wanted to kill the other party, so he needed more information. Chi. At this moment, the streak of light pierced the black snake, and a section of the black snake was cut off. Black Snake's face turned even uglier. Ling Xiao's strength was a little beyond his expectations. He originally thought that this brat was at most at the level of Xianmu and could be easily taken down. From the looks of it now, it was truly troublesome. Boom! In the next moment, Black Snake released his martial soul. His martial spirit was indeed a black serpent martial spirit. The huge black snake coiled behind him. With the release of his martial soul, the 2 pythons in his hands became even stronger. Thousand Shadows Snake Claw. With a cold snort, the Black Snake Man suddenly released dozens of snake shadows from his hands, all of which pounced on Ling Xiao. Residual HP. Ling Xiao sneered, no longer intending to dodge. He already had a rough understanding of the other party's strength. Next, it was time to end the battle. The huge blood-red sword Qi swept across, and its width was more than 10 meters, and his speed was extremely fast. Dozens of snake shadows were easily split apart by the residual blood sword Qi, scattering flesh and blood all over the ground. Black Snake Man took a few steps back in shock, and his face was very ugly. His hands were trembling, and there was blood dripping from his palms. It turned out that when the residual blood sword tore apart the Thousand Shadow Snake Claw, his hands were also injured. Hee, you make it sound very fierce, but it seems that you're just SOO. Ling Xiao stood there coldly with his sword in hand. No one knew that he had just set up a maze nearby. In this way, even if the people from the abyss of demon came to help, they would not be able to find them in a short time. They would also not be able to detect their battle aura. Since he was determined to kill these 2 people, Ling Xiao would not give them the slightest chance. Bat Lady, Your injuries have not healed yet? Black Snake Man sensed Ling Xiao's strength and was a little impatient. Although he had not yet revealed his strongest strength. 2 against 1, it was always easier. He did not want to take the risk. If he was killed by Ling Xiao, how pitiful would that be? Soon. Bat Lady originally wanted to rest for a while, because in her opinion, since Black Snake Man had attacked, Ling Xiao would not be able to withstand more than a few moves. However, it had only been a few rounds, and it seemed that Black Snake Man could not hold back anymore. Hold on a little longer. Bat Lady's injuries were not light, and it was almost impossible for her to recover in such a short time. Even if she swallowed the divine medicine, the result would be the same. Therefore, she had to wait for now. Hurry up! Black Snake Man gritted his teeth and continued to deal with Ling Xiao. At this time, he had already lost the heart to underestimate his opponent. Previously, he did not take Ling Xiao seriously, but now he had to devote himself to the battle. Otherwise, he really did not know what would happen. If that's all you've got, this battle should be over. Ling Xiao looked at Black Snake Man with contempt. This person really disappointed him. From the judgment of the Tai Chi Eye, Black Snake Man should not be so weak. At the very least, he could create certain conditions for him to improve his strength and add some energy to his cultivation sea. However, if Black Snake Man was as strong as he was now, he could kill him in one move. Go to hell. At this moment, Bat Lady's voice suddenly came. Dozens of bats condensed into a dark magic sword and stabbed at him in a frenzy. The sharp edge was completely different from ordinary weapons. The bat magic sword released a strange sound. Although it could not be heard, it could make one's mind chaotic. Before the attack arrived, Ling Xiao seemed to have seen himself being cut apart. He originally thought that this woman was just a support. Now, it seemed that this woman's attack power was not inferior at all. Undead body. Ling Xiao tried out his new ability. The moment he entered the undead body, his entire person seemed to have turned into a ghost. Not only was he lifeless, but he was also lifeless, which gave off a terrifying aura. What's going on? Both Black Snake Man and Bat Lady were stunned. The next moment, Ling Xiao no longer dodged and let their attacks fall on him. He was completely fine. For the first time, Black Snake Man and Bat Lady felt fear. Their pride was definitely not a bluff. Basically, in the 4 regions and 9 realms, they were the kind of geniuses who could challenge those of a higher level. They did not even take Xinyaning, a martial artist of the same level, seriously. Not to mention a martial artist like Ling Xiao, who was at the peak of the Dan realm. They did not care about him at all. But now, they suddenly realized that they knew too little about Ling Xiao. This guy had many terrifying abilities that they could not imagine. Try using your soul power attack. Black Snake Man finally calmed down. After all, he was the leader. If he panicked, the team would really be finished. Understood. Bat Lady put away her bat magic sword. Suddenly, she took out a talisman. There was a dark spell drawn on the talisman. This was a soul secret spell that she had specially made. As the talisman shattered, the ground suddenly cracked. One by one, strange creatures crawled out from the ground. Chapter 45-44. These monsters, some were covered in blood, with no part of their bodies intact. Some looked like jellyfish, but they were black in color. Some stuck out their long tongues and jumped around. There were also female ghosts in black cloaks and so on. In short, all the terrifying monsters one could imagine seemed to have appeared in an instant. For a moment, ghosts wailed and wolves howled. The sound directly pierced through Ling Xiao's soul protection wall and entered his soul realm, trying to deal a fatal blow to Ling Xiao. Is this an illusion? No. This should be a kind of soul secret technique. It uses soul power to condense terrifying monsters to frighten and stimulate warriors. Their attack power is not very good. Under the Tai Chi Eye, Ling Xiao was very calm. These monsters almost had no physical attack power. Even if they did, his undead body was not afraid. As for the soul attack, although it was very strong, It was a pity that it encountered him. The other party was really unlucky. If it were any other enemy, they would have collapsed by now. Previously, Fong Hung was frightened by these evil ghosts and did not even have the strength to resist. Sure enough, your weakness is your soul. Today I'll make you beg for death. Seeing that the attack was effective, Batgirl was immediately happy and deeply relieved. However, at this moment, Ling Xiao laughed disdainfully. How dare you show off such a boring trick in front of me? The black sheep beast soul transformation form. The next moment he transformed. A terrifying death aura was released from his body. At that moment, countless ghosts hid in fear as if they had met the Ghost King. They did not listen to Batgirl's command at all. The black sheep was an extremely powerful creature in the world of undead. In addition, it was enhanced by the deity position of the sheep god. When mere ghosts saw it, they would run away. Which one of them did not want to live and rushed forward? How can this be? Who are you? Batgirl was surprised. Only people from the netherworld demon realm were good at this kind of evil charm. They did not expect Ling Xiao to know it too, and it seemed that he was even more powerful. Black Snake's face became more and more unsightly. This Ling Xiao, starting from the sneak attack and destroying the two puppets, had broken their attacks several times. Even when the two of them joined forces, they were still unable to cause any harm to this kid. If this were to spread out, wouldn't he be laughed at to death? Logically speaking, Ling Xiao should be at a disadvantage when fighting one against two. After all, with Ling Xiao's current strength, if he didn't release the Sky Tyrant martial spirit, it wouldn't be a problem for him to kill Black Snake in a one-on-one battle. But if he were to face two 9th level core shattering stage martial artists, it would be slightly difficult. However, in the current battle situation, Ling Xiao was completely unharmed. Therefore, combat power was ultimately just a number. The real outcome of the battle would depend on how well they performed. Both the Black Snake Man and the Bat Lady were extremely powerful. Perhaps even a half-step divine physique echelon expert would have a headache if they were to fight the two of them together. However, Ling Xiao was an accident. Up until now, he was still fighting with the attitude of cultivation. He didn't unleash his full combat strength. Go all out. But at this moment, the Black Snake Man suddenly shouted. Ling Xiao's eyes lit up. He was just about to end this battle. The battle prowess of the two people on the other side actually soared again. In the end, Black Snake Man chose Martial Soul Fusion, transforming into a giant python. His combat strength increased by at least 10 times. The Bat Lady also chose Martial Soul Fusion, transforming into a human-shaped bat. She soared into the sky. The surrounding black bats were like floating cannons, constantly shooting out strange supersonic cannons. Although each attack might not be able to cause damage to Ling Xiao. But with so many attacks, it might not be so. Ling Xiao, today we'll show you our true forms. In this form, if we join forces, we can even defeat a half-step divine physique echelon martial artist. After Black Snake Man transformed, his voice became much louder. He opened his mouth and spat out terrifying attacks. Every time, the ground would be corroded into black water. Ling Xiao used his movement technique and kept dodging. He secretly praised in his heart. As expected of a martial artist from the netherworld, his strength was indeed strong. In a one-on-two situation, it would be very difficult to wear them down. Looks like I have to play for real. Let's end this quickly. Ling Xiao sensed that someone else was coming. He couldn't continue playing. The remaining value of these two people had been completely squeezed out by him, providing him with nearly 10% of the cultivation sea's energy. Earth-crossing golden light technique. Suddenly, Ling Xiao turned into a golden light and disappeared. Don't let him escape. Black Snake Man and Bat Lady's first thought was that Ling Xiao was trying to escape. But was Ling Xiao really going to escape? No. Black Snake, be careful. Bat Lady was in the air and observed more carefully. She found that Ling Xiao's path was not an escape path, but a pounce on Black Snake Man. She exclaimed, Humph, do you really think I'm a pushover? Bet lady I'll hold him back. Find an opportunity and kill him. Black Snake Man snorted and had no intention of dodging at all. He swung his huge tail and directly whipped it at Ling Xiao. He wanted to hold Ling Xiao back. However, in the next moment, his whole body suddenly trembled. No, this was a fake. Just as he was about to warn Bat Lady, it was already over. Bat Lady heard a murderous voice behind her. Residual blood. Chi. With one slash, Bat Lady's body was split into two. The most terrifying thing was that the sword Chi released by residual blood was wreaking havoc in Bat Lady's body. In an instant, Bat Lady was tortured to the brink of death. Bat Lady! Black Snake Man exclaimed, his face turning even uglier. They had said that they would not underestimate Ling Xiao, but they had underestimated him just now. They thought that Ling Xiao would choose to escape, but in fact he had launched an attack. It was this wrong judgment that had caused Bat Lady's death. In Bat Lady's current situation, if no one saved her, she would definitely die. Now it's your turn. Ling Xiao smiled faintly and raised his hand. Run. Black Snake Man did not want to resist at all. He did not even care about his companions. From Ling Xiao's body, he felt a sense of fear that he had never felt before. Can you escape? Void-shattering finger. At that moment, Black Snake Man felt as if he had been sucked into a space. He could not control his entire body. Crack! In the end, his body completely shattered. His life stopped at that moment. After Ling Xiao killed Black Snake Man, he looked at Bat Lady. Bat Lady was on the verge of death. However, she still could not believe the result of the battle. Hundred Worm, oh Hundred Worm, you are completely wrong. We have underestimated Ling Xiao. She had stopped praying to live. However, Ling Xiao did not disappoint her. The chair did not show the slightest bit of mercy to a beautiful woman like her. He raised his hand and burned her to ashes. That's pretty fast. After getting off Bat Lady, Ling Xiao's lips curled into a cold smile. The other 3 people from the abyss of hell were already nearby. It's not wise for a half-step divine body, realm martial artist, to fight now. I'd better leave first. Ling Xiao performed the Earth Golden Light technique and left quickly. Chapter 45:45. About half a minute later, Hundred Worms, Mu Ho, and Bing Dian from Abyss arrived at the scene. The atmosphere suddenly became a bit oppressive. It was very heavy. Hundred Worms looked at the ashes and corpses on the ground coldly and didn't speak for a long time, but his eyes were still emitting a cold light. The monkey-faced Mu Ho frowned and said, "It seems like the 2 puppets were destroyed from the beginning. Was it a sneak attack? But even so, Black Snake and Bat Lady together shouldn't be so weak. Is the enemy really that Ling Xiao? It can't be wrong," Hundred Worms said eerily. Judging from the destruction of the puppets and the traces of their deaths, the attacks all came from one person. What a guy! I really underestimated this Ling Xiao. I still don't think it's possible. Ling Xiao is just a warrior of the ultimate stage of Dan. Black Snake and Bat Lady are not bad either. I suspect that it's very likely that it's that Golden Prince's doing. Mu Ho still couldn't believe that this was done by Ling Xiao. Senior brother Mu Ho, don't forget what Shen Yaning said. Bing Dian suddenly said. Ling Xiao took the black goat necromancer from the 4 of them alone. If Shen Yaning didn't mention this, would you believe it? Yes, according to Shen Yaning's description. This Ling Xiao is not only powerful. He has many tricks up his sleeve. He's also very cunning. Looking at the scene, we know that Black Snake and Bat Lady were fooled by him. Hundred Worms sneered. She didn't take Ling Xiao seriously at all in the City of Adventure. Even if Ling Xiao defeated Xianmu, he was still just an ant in her eyes. But now, she finally had to be serious. Otherwise, she would probably make the same mistake as Black Snake and Bat Lady. The 2 of them had probably underestimated Ling Xiao, which was why they had met with such a calamity. Chase! No matter what, we can't let this kid escape. How dare he kill disciples of Abyss? He must die. 100 Worms sneered ferociously. But at this moment, a bloody crow flew over from the sky. Then it quickly dived down and landed on 100 Bug's arm. It's a signal from Senior Brother Shueya. A red light shot out from the blood-red crow's eyes. It formed an influence. It was a man in a red robe. The Holy Land of Heaven, Lang Ching, has discovered a treasure trove. She can sense the aura of heavenly materials and earthly treasures. It's very likely that the treasure we're looking for is there. Follow my crow here, I need help. It's Lang Ching. Mu Ho exclaimed. This Lang Ching is probably in the top 3 of the 10 people from the Heaven Holy Land. Freezing Point said. That's right. Among the warriors who entered the world of souls this time, her strength is among the best. You can't underestimate him. 100 Worms also nodded. Normally she was very proud, but she was not a match for Lang Ching. Among the warriors who entered the world of souls this time, Lang Ching definitely ranked in the top 10. Leave that Ling Xiao alone for now. Don't forget the real reason why we entered the world of souls. Let's go. The crow soared into the sky and turned into a black shadow flying in front. 100 Worms and the other 2 followed closely. In their eyes, the treasure was obviously more important than revenge. About half an hour later, the crow finally arrived in front of a mountain. There were 2 disciples from the 9 underworlds waiting there. Where's Senior Brother Shueya? 100 Worms couldn't help but ask when he didn't see Shueya. Senior Sister 100 Worms. Senior Brother Shueya has another mission. He went to contact them. The disciple said, there are still too few people. Only 10 can come in at a time. Fortunately, the 9 underworlds are prepared. If Shueya can contact them, the 9 underworlds demon realm will definitely win this time. 100 Worms sneered. There were many dead demon beasts on the mountain ahead. It was very troublesome for a 9th level shattered core martial artist to enter alone. That was why the 2 disciples from the 9 underworlds asked for help. Shueya, you left the crow for them to contact. Although the demon beast's aura was very strong, it still couldn't block the aura of the treasure. It's definitely right. There must be rare heavenly materials and earthly treasures on this mountain. Even if it's not on the prophecy stone tablet, it won't be bad. 100 Worms' perception was very sensitive. There were a few people nearby. They seemed to be martial artists from the neutral team. They were far away from the people from the 9 underworlds, but they were still reluctant to part with the treasures on the mountain. Senior Sister 100 Worms, should we kill them? Mu Ho asked. We don't have time to care about them. Our main opponent is Lang Ching. 100 Worms shook her head. At this moment, they saw a figure rise up from the mountain. With the vision of a martial artist, of course, they could see it clearly. That person was wearing a long green dress. When she flew up, she was like a green fairy. Her movements were elegant and nimble. Just from her movement technique, one could see how powerful she was. Roar! In the next moment, a head popped out from the forest. It was an enormous, undead spirit python. Lang Ching sneered. She stretched out her slender hand from her sleeve and slapped it down. Slap! The huge dead spirit python instantly turned into a bloody mist. Lang Ching, what a powerful technique. That dead spirit python's defense is extremely strong, but it was actually shattered by her palm. 100 Worms frowned. Among the 13 forces in the 4 regions and 9 worlds, the Heaven's sacred ground was second only to the Eternal Emperor region. The martial artist's strength was naturally extremely powerful. Let's go. The mountain was huge. Lang Ching couldn't occupy it completely. They also had a chance. Yes. The 5 people from the 9 underworlds entered the mountain together. Some of the neutral martial artists nearby also rushed in. On the other side, Ling Xiao couldn't sense the aura of the martial artists from the 9 underworlds. He knew that they had given up. Although he didn't know the reason, it was an extremely good thing for him. Therefore, according to the original plan, he prepared to meet up with his companions. This damned place was too dangerous. With his Tai Chi eye, his companions should be safer. His luck wasn't bad. Half an hour later, he found Dong Huangyu and Jianhu on a creepy path. What surprised him was that Dong Huangyu's cultivation had increased again. She had reached the late stage of the ultimate core realm. With Dong Huangyu's strength and the two treasures, she should be able to fight against a 9th-level shattered core realm martial artist. As expected of my disciple, she's really powerful. Ling Xiao didn't feel jealous at all. He only felt happy. Master. Seeing Ling Xiao, Dong Huangyu excitedly jumped into his arms. Ling Xiao couldn't help but blush. Although they were master and disciple, their age difference wasn't that big. One was a young girl, and the other was an ordinary man. It was really a little awkward. Cough, cough. Brother Ling. Jinhu saw Ling Xiao and also walked over. Didn't you see Little Gold and Cold Plum? Ling Xiao asked. Not yet, but we met a neutral martial artist just now. He said that young Master Jean might have entered the Death Soul Mountain ahead. Jinhu said, so we're preparing to rush over. Everyone read. Chapter 45-46. Ling Xiao glanced at the pitch-black mountain in the distance. The places that his taiji eye could see were all pitch-black. The surroundings were filled with black trees. There was only a path paved with bluestones that led up the mountain. There was no end in sight. Ghostly wails and howls could be heard from afar, causing immense pressure. Let's go and find Little Gold together. Since they had news of Little Gold, they should find Little Gold first. As for Cold Plum, they could only wait for an opportunity. Also, Ling Xiao believed that Cold Plum would be fine. As the saintess of the Saintess Palace, it was impossible for her not to have a few decent treasures. The name of the Death Soul Mountain doesn't sound good. Ling Xiao calmly said, Yeah, I heard from those who entered the heavenly ruins in the past that this path leads to the Death Soul Mountain. It is known as the Ghost Path. Many cultivators lost their 3 souls and 7 spirits on this path. They transformed into shells and eventually died as bones. Jianhu reminded, a single path has so many paths. It's really dangerous. Ling Xiao shook his head, but no matter how dangerous it was, they had to go. It was very possible that Little Gold had entered the Death Soul Mountain. Also, there would definitely be heavenly ingredients and earthly treasures in the Death Soul Mountain. If they didn't dare to go because of fear, they wouldn't have entered the Death Soul world. On both sides of the Ghost Path, strange winds kept on blowing. The wind blew through the forest, emitting terrifying sounds. Sometimes it sounded like a woman crying softly. Sometimes it sounded like someone mumbling to himself. Sometimes it sounded like a baby crying, Don't look to the sides. Ling Xiao suddenly reminded Dong Huangyu. Dong Huangyu was a lively little girl and was very curious. The more Ling Xiao said this, the more she couldn't control herself. Turning her head, a ghostly face suddenly appeared in the darkness. At that instant, she felt that her mind was blank. Her soul seemed to want to leave her body. Damn! Ling Xiao hurriedly blocked in front of Dong Huangyu. A devilish light flashed in his eyes as the ghostly face screamed miserably and fled. Only then did Dong Huangyu return to normal. Master, what was that? It was so terrifying. Dong Huangyu asked with lingering fear in her heart. If it was a real enemy, she naturally wouldn't be afraid. However, the ghost face seemed to be able to invade her soul realm in an instant. She was terrified and unable to control herself. That should be the so-called ghosts. Sword Tiger said, I've heard young Master Jean mention that specters are a very special existence. They were a type of monster formed from yin energy and soul power. They were specially designed to confuse martial artists. Once a martial artist met their gaze, if their soul force wasn't strong enough, they would be completely absorbed by them. In the end, he died tragically. Dong Huangyu shivered. She discovered that there were indeed many withered corpses by the roadside. It seems that in the world of souls, not only do we have to deal with warriors, we also have to deal with these terrifying things. She stuck out her tongue and didn't dare to look around anymore. The three of them continued forward. They were already close to the dark mountain range. Some of these mountain ranges were very low, while others towered into the clouds. It gave people a very uncomfortable feeling. They were baring their fangs and brandishing their claws like monsters. The air was filled with the thick stench of blood and decay. From time to time, a large number of mosquitoes and flies could be seen flying by. Undead creatures are an indescribable existence. I heard from young Master Jean that they are unable to leave the world of souls. Once they leave, they will die. Someone tested it before, but in the world of souls, they are almost immortal. They rely on devouring the life force of living beings to survive. Sword Tiger spoke again. How did undead creatures come about? Ling Xiao was also somewhat puzzled. Logically speaking, if they died, they would die. How could there be such a name? Their physical bodies were completely lifeless, but their souls were still alive. You're not the only one who doesn't know. The Patriarch Society and the Beast Gods Alliance don't know either. They have studied it for thousands of years and only know that undead creatures can only survive in historical remains. Oh, right. Among these creatures, there are human-like existences called the undead race. They are more intelligent than ordinary undead creatures and can also cultivate. Sword Tiger replied. Undead race. Ling Xiao sighed. As expected, there were many strange things in this world. Some people suspect that the undead race is a monster created by the martial artists of the eternal desert to study the art of immortality. Of course, it's just a theory. It may not be true. Sword Tiger added. I think it's very possible. Ling Xiao smiled. When he spoke, he did not let down his guard at all. Undead creatures could appear at any time, especially those undead race. Since they were intelligent, they would definitely not let foreign races take away their treasures easily. Perhaps this trip to the world of souls would be more dangerous than imagined. Looking up at the pitch-black sky, he could almost touch it with his hands. Ling Xiao shook his head. Here, divine sense was severely suppressed. Even the Tai Chi eye could only see things a mile away. This was simply like an ordinary person walking in a fog. It was very uncomfortable. The Death Soul Mountain seems to be the place recorded on the map with the remnant soul of the 9 Nether Yellow Springs, Golden Crow. Ling Xiao saw the outline of the Death Soul Mountain and could not help but say, Then we can be sure that young Master Jean has indeed gone to the Death Soul Mountain. Sword Tiger said excitedly. After all, before it was just a guess and hearsay. But now it was basically confirmed. He thought about how little Jean was about to get what he wanted. Ling Xiao was a little depressed. Of course, he was happy for little Jean. However, he did not feel anything at all at the moment. Regardless of whether it was the remnants of the Z God or the U God, there was no aura at all. He did not know when he would encounter them. The world of souls was really too big. When did you become so impetuous? Yuan Venerate's voice suddenly rang out. It seems that cultivating the demonic, Tao, has affected your mind. Although the demon path is powerful, it is a little too eager for instant success. I think it's best for you to cultivate the contents of the White Lotus Scroll at the same time. Merging the divine and demon paths and balancing yin and yang is the right thing to do. Thank you for the reminder, Master. In fact, Ling Xiao also felt this way. He seemed to have become more bloodthirsty and anxious now. He had originally thought that it was caused by the oppressive atmosphere of the world of souls. Now that he thought about it carefully, it should be because of cultivating the Black Lotus Scroll. Anyway, with your current strength, it is impossible to cultivate the Black Lotus Scroll completely. Why don't you cultivate it together? Cultivate the Godly Venerate, Demon Venerate, and Emperor Venerate bodies. That will greatly increase your strength, Yuan Venerate said. As for the things left behind by the Beast God, there is no need for you to be anxious. As long as you get close, The beast god's deity position will naturally react. I understand. Ling Xiao took a deep breath and silently recited the contents of the white lotus scroll in his mind. He walked forward and cultivated at the same time. Sure enough, when he circulated his true essence according to the method of the white lotus scroll, he immediately calmed down a lot. Sure enough, I have to balance yin and yang. Ling Xiao sighed inwardly. He still had too little experience. He would have to ask his master more in the future. Chapter 45-47. Stop! Ling Xiao didn't let down his guard as he walked forward. His vision of 1 mile wasn't short. What's wrong, master? Dong Wang Yu asked. Undead spirit race. Ling Xiao said in a low voice. He had seen undead spirit beasts before, but he had never seen undead spirit race. Although undead spirit race and undead spirit beasts were both creatures of the world of death, they were fundamentally different. The undead spirit race possessed intelligence and had their own martial arts system. Other than their bodies being lifeless, they were no different from humans in other aspects. Maybe they didn't have feelings. He always felt that these creatures were cold and murderous. They didn't seem like living creatures. Or maybe they weren't living creatures in the first place. Hearing Ling Xiao's words, Jianhu and Donghuang Yu suddenly became nervous. After entering the world of death, they were considered lucky. Although they had encountered undead spirit beasts, they hadn't encountered undead spirit race. The skin of these undead spirit race members was gray. It was a lifeless color, just like rocks. Prepare for battle. Ling Xiao knew that he couldn't avoid them, because when he discovered the undead spirit race, they also discovered them. Moreover, it seemed like there was no need to avoid them. These undead spirit race members weren't very strong. A strange sound could be heard as the undead spirit race members rushed toward them at an extremely fast speed. Understood. Jianhu and Donghuang Yu took out their weapons and treasures. Staring ahead, they couldn't help but swallow their saliva. This feeling was too intense. Ling Xiao also entered the black goat undead spirit beast soul transformation state. The black goat undead spirit beast soul transformation was the most suitable form to survive in the world of death. Its combat power was even stronger than the unbounded heavenly rat soul transformation. He took out the East Victory demonic sword. He had only cultivated the white lotus scroll for a short time. Therefore, he still used the black lotus scroll in battle. In an extremely short period of time, the undead spirit race members had already arrived nearby. There were a total of 4 of them. One of them was the most eye-catching. It was covered in black armor and held a pitch-black longsword. It was actually riding on a hell nightmare that was burning with purple-blue flames. 9th stage of the core fragmentation realm. Even its mount has the same combat power. Together, it's probably the legendary hell Nightmare Knight. Its combat power is comparable to a half-step divine physique Ector. Jianhu cried out in alarm. I'll deal with this guy. I'll leave the other 3 to the 2 of you. When Ling Xiao saw the hell nightmare, his eyes lit up. The world of souls was truly a blessed place for him. Previously, he had obtained the undead black goat. If he succeeded this time, he would be able to obtain a hell's nightmare. This kind of nightmare looked like a war horse, so it should be able to fuse into the horse god divine tablet. As such, all 12 beast god thrones were gathered. Who knew what would happen? The Nightmare Knight's eyes flashed with a blood-red radiance, coldly looking at Ling Xiao and the other 2. He even opened his mouth and spoke. Whoever steps into the world of souls without permission shall die. His voice sounded like metal clashing against metal. There was no emotion in it at all, and it made the 2 of them very uncomfortable. He could imagine the sound of metal scraping against each other. It was really unpleasant to hear. Other than the Nightmare Knight, the other 3 undead spirits didn't look as cool. It could even be said that it was ugly. He was as thin as a match, like a large piece of pork ribs. They had sharp claws and teeth. When they walked, they basically crawled. One could even see pieces of flesh on their bodies. They are slaves raised by the undead spirit race. They are created from the corpses of outsiders. This is why they are called corpse ghosts. Their souls are imprisoned in their corpses. They are cursed by a powerful curse and don't know who they are anymore. They only know how to tear apart the enemies in front of them and eat all the flesh on their bodies. By devouring their enemies, they can extend their life force and increase their combat strength. Luckily, there was someone like Jianhu beside him. If he didn't dare to Ling Xiao, he would really be blind. Kill! The Nightmare Knight gave the order. The 3 corpse ghosts pounced toward Dong Wangyu and Jianhu at the same time. It seemed like the Nightmare Knight had the same thoughts as Ling Xiao. Was he prepared to fight against Ling Xiao one-on-one? However, aren't you a little too much to bully me with your mount? Thinking about it was just thinking, but Ling Xiao was not afraid. His current mission was to delay the Nightmare Knight. He wanted Jianhu and Dong Huangyu to kill the 3 corpse ghosts as soon as possible. Then, the 3 of them would work together and kill the Nightmare Knight. Although they were invaders, the Nightmare Knight wanted to kill them, so they couldn't just sit back and do nothing. Jianhu's combat strength wasn't low. He was at the 9th stage of the core fragmentation realm. Otherwise, the Beast Emperor wouldn't have sent him to be Little Gold's bodyguard. It was a piece of cake for him to fight against 2 corpse ghosts. Dong Huangyu's combat strength was the weakest. However, she had the 9 revolutions gourd that Ling Xiao gave her. In addition, she had her own jellyfish lava mirror. In a one-on-one situation, she had the advantage. Ling Xiao was the most troublesome. The Nightmare Knight's combat strength was abnormally strong. Moreover, this fellow was proficient in soul techniques. No one would be able to take it if he attacked. Luckily, Ling Xiao's soul power was extremely strong, and he wasn't affected by the Nightmare Knight's attack. He held the Dong Sheng demonic sword and fought against the Nightmare Knight. He even released the Sky Tyrant Martial Soul. If he didn't use the Sky Tyrant Martial Soul, it would be very difficult for him to fight against a half-step divine physique realm martial artist. The Nightmare Knight seemed to be very shocked. His best nightmare attack was actually ineffective against Ling Xiao. He immediately panicked a little. This won't do. Even if I break the Nightmare Knight's attack, I'll be at a disadvantage if it's 2 against 1. Looks like I have to break them one by one. Ling Xiao suffered a few losses, although he didn't suffer any serious injuries because of his incomparably strong physical body. But if this continued, no one would be able to take it. Falling plumb clear shadow step. In the next moment, Ling Xiao used falling plumb clear shadow step. A figure attacked the knight, and a figure attacked the Nightmare Knight. The moment they got close, he used Cosmic Light, Divine Fist. Within a 1-meter radius, time seemed to have suddenly stopped. Only Ling Xiao could still travel through time, although it was only for 3 seconds. But it was enough for Ling Xiao. He threw this punch at the Nightmare Knight. At the same time, he released the demonic eye and forcefully erased the Nightmare Knight's soul. Boom! After a huge roar, the Nightmare Knight was sent flying. This was because the Nightmare Knight had already been killed by Ling Xiao. After all, it was only a Nightmare Knight at the 9th level of the Shattered Core Realm. Ling Xiao used the Cosmic Light, Divine Fist with the Sky Tyrant Martial Soul State. How could the Nightmare Knight be his match? At the same time, Dong Wangyu had also finished off her opponent. Then, she fought the 2 corpse ghosts together with Sword Tiger. Sword Tiger wasn't afraid of fighting 1 against 2. 1 against 1 was pretty much easy. After 3 moves, he easily tore his opponent into pieces. The Nightmare Knight was killed. 2 of the 3 corpse ghosts died. Seeing that the situation wasn't good, the Nightmare Knight actually turned around and fled. Ling Xiao didn't chase after him. He wasn't familiar with this place, but it was their territory. If he was ambushed, he wouldn't even know how he died. At this moment, the last corpse ghost was also destroyed. The corpse ghost wasn't strong to begin with. After being attacked by Sword Tiger and Dong Huangyu, how could it not be destroyed? Chapter 45-48. Let's go. Ling Xiao suddenly increased his speed. Jianhu and Dong Huang Yu also hurriedly followed him. They knew very well that if they killed the ghouls and let the Nightmare Knight go, there would definitely be a large number of undead spirits coming here. No matter what, they couldn't take this risk. They didn't come to the undead world to be enemies with them. If the undead spirits didn't attack them, they naturally wouldn't attack them either. However, if the undead spirits wanted to kill them, they wouldn't be polite either. Ling Xiao rushed at the front. His Tai Chi eye was constantly observing the surrounding situation. He tried his best to use his speed to avoid the undead spirits. These guys weren't to be trifled with. As expected, not long after Ling Xiao and the others left, the Nightmare Knight returned. The fleeing Nightmare Knight returned. This time, it was riding a skeletal warhorse at the 7th stage of the core fragmentation stage. It was much lower than the Hell Nightmare Knight. Moreover, it was leading hundreds of ghouls. Its blood-red eyes looked in the direction of the Death Soul Mountain. Chase! The undead spirits had ruled the undead world for many years. Although there were always creatures from the outside world coming in to cause trouble, they couldn't shake their rule. They wouldn't allow this to happen either. Ling Xiao's path wasn't a straight path. During the process, he chose to take a few detours so that the undead spirits would lose track of them. However, during the process, they encountered many undead spirits, demonic beasts. Fortunately, demonic beasts weren't like the undead spirits. They didn't have intelligence. Even if they were in the 9th stage of the core fragmentation realm, they wouldn't be a match for them and could be killed easily. Whether it was him, Jianhu, or Dong Huangyu, they all had the ability to deal with them alone. With the 3 of them working together, they were able to deal with the battle faster. They basically didn't encounter any trouble along the way. Ling Xiao didn't attack for the next few times. Instead, he started to fuse with the Hell Nightmare Knight. He was absolutely confident that Dong Huangyu and Jianhu could clear the obstacles for him. They would protect him. About half an hour later, purple-blue flames burned on Ling Xiao's body. The Hell Nightmare Knight's shadow appeared behind him. Success! He successfully fused with the Hell Nightmare Knight's beast soul. All the 12 divine beast positions had beast souls from now on. At the moment of the fusion, all the beast souls seemed to have leveled up. Both of them had reached the divine body realm. Unfortunately, this was not a physical monster like the Troll King that could fight. It could only increase the power of Ling Xiao's special skill. At the same time, Ling Xiao's cultivation C energy rose to 60%. His physical strength had also increased significantly, although none of them had achieved a breakthrough. However, it was really not easy to improve so much in such a difficult situation. At the same time, the Infernal Nightmare Beast Soul gave Ling Xiao 2 special skills. First, Nightmare Moment. It could hypnotize 3 martial artists at the same time. The lower the soul power, the easier it was to hypnotize them. The hypnosis lasted for 30 seconds. Of course, the deeper one fell into the nightmare, the harder it would be to wake up. When Ling Xiao saw this special skill, he felt that it was a godly skill. In this way, when he faced multiple powerful enemies, he could make them fall into a nightmare. The enemy's combat power would inevitably be weakened. Secondly, the corpse could be revived. This was a very powerful ability that allowed him to revive up to 6 corpses to fight for him. Moreover, they didn't differentiate between friend and foe. In other words, the enemy's corpses, neutral corpses, and his own corpses could all be revived. Moreover, he could directly revive them. This was practically a godly skill. However, there were also many limitations to the effect. For example, he could not revive martial artists who were stronger than him. It was strength, not cultivation. As for how to define this, probably only the King of Sovereigns would know. Of course, like other special skills, they would become stronger as the beast's soul became stronger. It was similar to mystical powers. Whoever used it would know. Brother Ling, the closer we get to the Dead Soul Mountain, the more dead souls there seem to be. It's a little troublesome. Sword Tiger suddenly said, "You guys move aside first. I'll try out the new skill." Ling Xiao smiled, looking at the corpses all over the ground. He used corpse revival. The next moment, the 6 dead souls that had just been killed were revived at the same time. Moreover, they were the strongest 6 of them. All of them had reached the 8th stage of the core-shattering realm. Ling Xiao could now be sure that the strongest corpse he could revive was the 8th stage of the core-shattering realm. This was because there were clearly existences at the 9th stage of the core-shattering realm among these monsters, but they did not revive. The King of Sovereigns was only SOSO. They could not see through the terrifying improvement brought by the Sky Tyrant martial soul. It was a little regretful. However, there were suddenly 8 more powerful corpse ghosts opening the way. This was also quite an impressive thing. Sword Tiger and Dong Huang, you were stunned. It's a pity that this ability can only be used once every half an hour. Otherwise, it would be even more impressive. Ling Xiao smiled. Let's go. With the corpse ghosts opening the way, we should conceal our auras. We should not have to fight too much. Master, how did you do it? This is simply too magical. Dong Huang Yu was filled with admiration. It's just a little trick. You don't have to praise your master like that. Ling Xiao smiled. Although he felt very good, he still had to keep a low profile. Someone died. After walking for a while, Ling Xiao frowned. Ahead, a pair of corpse ghosts were chewing on corpses. The corpses were already broken, but Ling Xiao could still see the things scattered on their bodies. People from the 23 teams? Sword Tiger frowned. As a martial artist, he was already used to such scenes. Dong Wang Yu was not so strong. Girls were more mentally fragile. She had already gone to the side and started vomiting. Although she was used to seeing martial artists die, she had never seen such a strange scene. Ling Xiao frowned. He opened his mouth and spat out a ball of fire, burning the corpses and the corpse ghosts. These corpse ghosts were not strong. They were only at the 3rd stage of the core-shattering realm. Logically speaking, they should not be a match for these people. There were a total of 6 people who died. Among the 6, 3 were at the 7th stage of the core-shattering realm. 1 was at the 9th stage, and 1 was at the 8th stage. There were a total of 8 corpse ghosts. No matter how one looked at it, these people did not deserve to die. Could it be that another team did it? Sword Tiger said. That's impossible. There are no auras of other teams nearby. Don't underestimate my eyes, Ling Xiao said confidently. It's very likely that someone as strong as the Nightmare Knight appeared. Or even stronger. Sword Tiger also agreed with Ling Xiao's idea. No matter what, let's go first. Even I can't detect this guy's existence. I'm afraid his strength is at least at the half-step divine body realm. Or even stronger. Ling Xiao furrowed his brows. He realized that he had overlooked a problem. He had always thought that there would not be any divine body realm beings here. But now that he thought about it, foreign martial artists could not be here, but the undead race might be. Damn it, I should get to know the undead world again. This is not the ruins we imagined. It's the world where the undead race lives. Anything can happen. Ling Xiao tried his best to calm himself down and took a deep breath. End of chapter. Chapter 45-49. I don't understand what you mean. Sword Tiger was stunned. Ling Xiao explained, for example, we thought we were going to the wilderness for an adventure. Although there are many demonic beasts, there are no demonic beasts. However, demonic beasts basically don't have any organization. We can easily defeat them one by one. Then we can get what we want. And now, we've actually entered a city with a civilization. We have to snatch food from the tiger's mouth in the city. We are invaders, but we are also prey. The undead spirit race may have already started hunting us. Those people just now died in the hands of the undead spirit race. I understand. Sword Tiger understood Ling Xiao's words, and he felt his scalp go numb. No wonder the death toll in the heaven ruins was so high. As they spoke, the 3 of them had already disappeared into the darkness. For safety, Ling Xiao even put Sword Tiger and Dong Huangyu into the Dongsheng Emperor Ring. He also turned into an undead spirit. He moved forward with the 6 ghouls. This way, he could protect himself to the greatest extent. About half an hour after they left, a black figure appeared there. His face couldn't be seen clearly. The black figure floated in the air like a ghost. He looked coldly at the ghouls that had been killed. Interesting invaders. He suddenly let out a strange laugh and disappeared into the darkness again. Ling Xiao was more and more certain that the undead spirit race had already started to move. They were the prey, and the undead spirit race was the hunter. All the martial artists who were fighting for the treasure had fallen into an extremely dangerous situation. He believed that the martial artists of the 4 regions and 9 worlds had already known about this. Only the neutral teams had foolishly barged in and become cannon fodder. Thinking about the plan of the martial artists of the 9 underworlds, he felt that there seemed to be a very terrifying conspiracy in the world of souls. He told Dongwang Yu and Sword Tiger his thoughts. The 2 of them felt a chill down their spines. "What do we do now? Do we continue?" Sword Tiger asked. "Of course we continue. The undead spirit race won't let us go just because we escaped. We can only risk it. The most important thing now is to unite more martial artists." Ling Xiao's idea was very simple. He wanted to find Xiao, Jean, and Cold Plum, and then join forces with a few old acquaintances of the Heavenly Devil Ghost Realm. In this hunt, the more people there were, the safer it would be. Judging from the movement pattern of the dead spirit race, they couldn't dispatch many powerhouses. Therefore, they would usually choose to attack a lone warrior. Otherwise, he would be picking up a soft persimmon to bully. Although he didn't know the reason, it was good news for Ling Xiao. At the very least, the undead spirit clan had not discovered him yet. This was his advantage. After entering the undead spirit body, his aura was almost identical to that of the undead spirit race. It could be passed off as genuine. He also tried his best to avoid unnecessary battles. Finding Xiao Jin was more important. With 8 ghouls paving the way, under normal circumstances, the ghouls wouldn't attack him. Suddenly, the sound of battle could be heard from afar. Ling Xiao's eyes could not see, but his voice could be heard. This battle was really intense. Although he didn't want to get involved, this path was the only way to reach the Death Soul Mountain. If he took a detour, it would be too far, and there might be unknown dangers. Ling Xiao gritted his teeth and continued forward. What a strong fishy smell, it's the sea race. He was getting closer and closer to the battle. Although he still couldn't see the other party's figure, Ling Xiao smelled the sea race's warriors that he had seen more than once. In the mystic world, the largest place was the stormy ocean. Therefore, the sea race's numbers and scale were definitely more than the human race. There were tens of thousands of countries in the western regions. This group of people should be the deep-sea dragon realm's warriors. 12 people. Ling Xiao was stunned. Isn't there a maximum of 10 people in each team? Even if all the deep-sea dragon realm's warriors were gathered, there should only be 10. What's going on with 12? It's the same old trick, Sword Tiger said indifferently. Once you enter the heavenly ruins, even the Council of Patriarchs can't do anything. Therefore, the 4 regions and 9 worlds will send some people to stay in the heavenly ruins. It's convenient for treasure hunters and also to investigate the situation of the dead spirit world. It's not surprising that there are such people in the 4 regions and 9 worlds. I see. Ling Xiao instantly understood. The dead spirit world was a place that the Council of Patriarchs couldn't control. As long as they couldn't break the restrictions of the dead spirit world, they wouldn't be able to control the situation inside. The 4 regions and 9 worlds all had their own selfish motives. Brother Ling, it's better not to go over. None of the 4 regions and 9 worlds are easy to deal with. The deep sea dragon realm is not to be trifled with. Sword Tiger reminded. There's no other way. These guys are blocking the way to the Death Soul Mountain. Since we're already here, we can't possibly go back, right? Ling Xiao shook his head. Actually, he was most unwilling to meet the people from the deep sea dragon realm. After all, he had a grudge with these guys. He had already killed quite a few elites from the deep sea dragon realm, including 2 divine body echelon elites. But what was the use of being afraid? Ling Xiao temporarily put away the corpse ghost. It was easier to escape alone. Thinking of this, he continued to walk over. At this moment, the battle was nearing its end. It turned out that the 12 people from the deep sea dragon realm were working together to kill a ferocious, dead spirit wolf. This dead spirit wolf was 10 meters tall and extremely huge. Its fur was extremely tough. Its combat power was extremely strong. It was probably more terrifying than any half-step divine body echelon elites. But even a hero couldn't win against so many people, and the dead spirit wolf finally fell to the ground. Just at this moment, Ling Xiao arrived nearby. In the crowd, a young martial artist suddenly looked in Ling Xiao's direction. Even though Ling Xiao was in his shadow dancer form, he was still discovered. This young martial artist was about 90 years old, but he looked like he was only 16 or 17. His eyes glowed with a strange light. It was very likely that he had also mastered an eye technique. In this team of 12, there were 3 half-step divine body echelon elites, 6 9th level core shattering stage experts, 3 8th level core shattering stage martial artists. The one who discovered Ling Xiao was one of the half-step divine body echelon elites, and he seemed to be the leader of this team. Although he was young, he was extremely powerful. Since he was discovered, Ling Xiao wasn't in a hurry to leave. He appeared and looked at the Deep Sea Dragon Realm team. Normally, when teams met in the world of dead souls, they wouldn't fight, unless the other party discovered a treasure and wanted to fight for it. Of course, this was excluding those who had a feud. Coincidentally, Ling Xiao had a feud with the Deep Sea Dragon Realm. However, it was another matter whether these people knew about it or not. You guys continue. I'm just passing by. Ling Xiao smiled. Stop. You're Ling Xiao, right? The young man with blood-red eyes said coldly. In the next moment, the rest of the people had already surrounded Ling Xiao. Who are you? Ling Xiao wasn't afraid. Instead, he asked, Heavenly Flower Jellyfish. That young man was rather direct. Heavenly Flower Jellyfish. You're a martial artist from the Sea Tribe's jellyfish lineage, right? That's right, I'm Ling Xiao. May I know why you stopped me? Ling Xiao asked. Top M. Chapter 4550. Aren't you asking the obvious? You killed someone from the deep sea dragon field. And you still want to deny it? Aren't you looking down on us too much? Tianhua Jellyfish sneered. Although the 10 of us are not here yet, and the strongest sea lion hero is not here, but you seem to be more pitiful. Originally, there were only 5 people in your Battle Alliance team, and now there's only 1 left. It seems that even the heavens want us to take revenge. There was still 1 more person. Ling Xiao frowned. How many people from the deep sea dragon field stayed in the world of souls? He looked at the man standing behind Tianhua Jellyfish. He was less than 100 years old, and his strength was also half a step into the divine body realm. His aura was very strong, but looking at the death aura around him, he was probably a martial artist who stayed in the world of souls. Brother, how should I address you? Your glabella is black, and you don't seem to have much time left. The air in the world of souls is not that easy to breathe. Ling Xiao's Tai Chi eye could clearly see that the martial artist had stayed in the world of souls for a long time. If the death aura invaded his body, he could only live for another year at most. He was not being sarcastic, but he was telling the truth. This person held a long spear in his hand. It should have been golden, but now it had turned black. It should also be affected by the death aura. You can actually tell that I have stayed in the world of souls for a long time. Interesting. No wonder Tianhua said you are an interesting guy. Although your strength is not that great, you seem to have some special abilities. Tianhua Jellyfish was also a bit surprised. Ling Xiao was really interesting. Although he had a grudge with the deep sea dragon field, it was not his family. If it was more troublesome, he did not want to take revenge. I'll give you 2 choices. First, kill yourself. Second, get killed by us. Ling Xiao was about to speak when fear appeared in his eyes. He was not the only one who noticed it. Tianhua jellyfish also noticed it. A black figure appeared in front of them, floating in the air like a ghost. His face could not be seen clearly. That face was like a pitch-black hole. Divine body realm. How can it be? Tianhua jellyfish turned pale with fright. The black figure did not look at him, but at Ling Xiao. Kid, your movement technique is not bad. I almost lost you. If I did, I'm afraid that my name as the King of Death would be a joke. King of Death. Hearing these 3 words, the middle-aged man from the deep-sea dragon field shuddered. The king, of course, the king of Death realm. Below him, there were 13 Death Spirit Kings. This should be the Shadow King, the weakest of the 13 Death Spirit Kings. We're definitely no match for him. Run. To the kings, too. Ling Xiao didn't hesitate either, directly using the vertical golden light technique. Without the 9 underworld's giant demon king, he really wasn't a match for this divine body realm expert. He could only wait until he found Little Gold. If they worked together, they might be able to win. The King of Shadows snorted and tried to catch Ling Xiao, but he failed. Ling Xiao's King of Light was a sun god's ability which contained the space law. How could he catch it so easily? The King of Shadows was furious, so he vented his anger on the deep-sea dragon field's martial artists. He killed 5 of them in one move. However, the remaining people had already fled far away. Kid, your aura is the most dangerous. Killing you is more important. The King of Shadows glanced at the direction Ling Xiao escaped and continued to chase. The next moment, Ling Xiao appeared in the Death Soul Mountain, but he did not know where. Just now, he had been so focused on escaping that he had become a headless fly. He calmed himself down and was about to leave when he suddenly found himself surrounded. It was 4 black-robed martial artists. They were dressed like the King of Shadows, but they were like skeletons. Their strength was only at the 9th level of the core fragmentation realm. Get lost. I don't have time to waste with you. The King of Shadows was chasing after him. That guy seemed to think that he was the biggest threat in the world of souls. Ling Xiao did not dare to release Dongwang Yu and Sword Tiger easily. He was afraid that something would go wrong. But at this moment, he could not be careless. Attack together. He released Sword Tiger and Dongwang Yu. At the same time, he released 6 ghouls at the 8th stage of the core shattering realm. They attacked the 4 black-robed skeletons together. The black-robed skeletons did not expect the situation to turn out like this. They were surrounded instead. They immediately prepared to escape. There was no need for them to risk their lives. The King of Shadows would arrive soon. At that time, Ling Xiao would definitely die. But how could Ling Xiao give them the chance to escape? The 6 ghouls surrounded the 2 black-robed skeletons. He directly used the void-shattering finger to crush them. How could the black-robed skeletons, who were only at the 9th stage of the core-shattering realm, resist? They were easily killed. On the other side, Donghuang Yu also used the jellyfish lava mirror to cover one of the black-robed skeletons. Then, she killed it with the flying sword of the 9 Revolutions gourd. Sword Tiger's battle was relatively simple. He directly tore his opponent apart alive. Ling Xiao did not even think and directly kept the 4 corpses. He had the ability to revive corpses, but he was still unable to revive a 9th stage core-shattering realm martial artist. But it did not mean that he could not do it in the future. Now, his cultivation C energy had increased to 70%. He was not far from breaking through. Once he entered the core-shattering realm, he could cultivate the holy ground demonic shadow and the black lotus treasure light. His combat strength would naturally increase greatly. Just as he was about to leave, the King of Shadows appeared again. Ling Xiao was going to use the same trick again. The King of Shadows sneered. If I let you escape this time, how am I going to survive? As he spoke, black shadows appeared from his hands and suddenly pounced on Ling Xiao. A black cage was formed between heaven and earth. It sealed the passage of heaven and earth. Ling Xiao's earth-crossing golden light technique could not escape. It directly collided with the black gas and bounced back. I can't escape. I can only protect myself. Ling Xiao made a prompt decision and threw out dozens of alchemy formation stones. These were all good things that he had accumulated over the years. Under normal circumstances, he did not need them, but at critical times, they could save his life. Even if the King of Shadows could capture him alive, he could not kill him. Dozens of complex arrays crisscrossed and protected him. The King of Shadows was also like a wolf eating a hedgehog. Good boy, you know arrays. These dozens of arrays are really not easy to break. The King of Shadows' expression changed, and he was a little embarrassed. Congratulations, King of Shadows, for capturing this guy. Even if you can't kill him now, there will always be a way. There are many methods in the world of souls. You don't have to worry. More than a dozen black-robed skeletons appeared nearby, and their strength was uneven, but they were basically all in the core-shattering realm. No wonder there was a strength requirement when martial artists formed teams. Those who were weak would die if they entered here. There was no hope of survival at all. That's true. Bring him back to Shadow City and take good care of him. This boy has many secrets. We will definitely gain a lot. The King of Shadows originally came out to hunt experts, but he found a strange power on Ling Xiao, so he changed his target to Ling Xiao. Chapter 4551. The Shadow King retracted the boundless shadow and imprisoned Ling Xiao. Then he returned to his Shadow City. In the Shadow King's mansion, he released the black ball. The black ball floated in the air, giving the Shadow King a headache. It was like having delicious food, but not being able to eat it. It was a headache. King, the holy water of necromancy, has a terrifying, corrosive effect. If you use qi to refine this thief, it might work. A nightmare knight below suddenly said, "That's right." The Shadow King immediately smiled. "Kid, even if you have the protection of the array, my holy water of necromancy can completely melt you. Come." Holy water of necromancy. As he spoke, he waved his hand, and a container appeared in his hand. It was not gold, nor iron, nor jade, nor stone. It was unknown what it was made of. A gray liquid flowed in the container that looked like a wine bottle, as if it had a life of its own. It constantly emitted a suffocating aura of death. This aura of death could even refine a divine physique realm martial artist alive. Not to mention a mere Ling Xiao. The holy water of necromancy was a special existence in the world of souls. It was holy water refined by the dead spirit emperor using the qi of necromancy, and it contained pure yin qi. It could break all arrays, yang qi and true yuan. It was also extremely precious in the world of souls. It could even be said that once a mortal emperor weapon with less than 10 dragon patterns was refined by the holy water of necromancy, it would become a holy weapon of necromancy. But this time, the Shadow King didn't want this effect. He only wanted the holy water of necromancy to break the dozens of arrays that Ling Xiao had set up. The Shadow King gently touched the black ball, and the holy water of necromancy merged with it and seeped into it. It was only a small bottle, but it seemed to be endless. Other than the 13 dead spirit kings and the dead spirit emperor, no one else could have so much holy water of necromancy. The holy water of necromancy was refined by the dead spirit emperor for the dead spirit king to refine his body. Sizzle, 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 sizzle. The holy water of necromancy entered the black ball and immediately made a strange sound, and it started to tear apart the first layer of the array. Whoosh! Finally, the first layer of the array collapsed after 3 breaths. The Shadow King smiled proudly. "Kid, no matter how strong you are, he had the ability to set up formations. It's a pity that you didn't expect this king to possess a divine item like the holy water of the dead." However, the Shadow King probably didn't know that Ling Xiao's mood was completely different inside the layers of formations. It was a laugh that bordered on madness. "Ha ha ha, this idiot. Ling Xiao laughed wildly. I was still thinking about how to escape. I never thought that he would actually use a treasure like the Holy Necromancer to deal with me. This is something I've always dreamed of. The Black Lotus Scroll states that the Holy Dead Spirit Water is a supreme treasure. By using the Holy Dead Spirit Water to cultivate, one can cultivate into a Black Lotus demon venerable. The ultimate goal of the Lotus Sutra was to cultivate 3 true bodies. This was not a clone. Instead, they were 3 true bodies with the exact same strength. The only difference was that they used different divine abilities and cultivation methods. Once he successfully cultivated it, he would be able to fight 4 against 1 at any time. That would be extremely awesome. Demon Lord, the Supreme Divinity, Ancestor, in addition to the main body. That scene would probably make the enemy cry. As he thought of this, Ling Xiao began to concentrate on cultivating the Black Lotus Scroll. The Yuan Venerate helped him control the array formation and deliberately let in a small portion of the Holy Necromancer. It flowed continuously like a stream. If it all rushed in at once, Ling Xiao wouldn't be able to withstand it. Even his current physical body would probably be destroyed directly. While absorbing the Holy Necromancer, Ling Xiao's physical body was constantly being tempered at the same time. In the Mountain River realm, a black lotus was constantly growing and gradually taking on a human form. At the moment, it already had the outline of a human body. It really works. At first, it was just a guess. However, after trying it out, Ling Xiao confirmed that there was no problem. Previously, he had lost the 9 underworld Great Demon King and obtained the Lotus Sutra, although it wasn't a loss in the long run. After all, it was still a little troublesome in the short term. There was no need to worry now. He believed that once the Black Lotus Demon Venerable was cultivated, his strength would also improve greatly. Breaking through to the core fragmentation realm shouldn't be a problem. Just like that, Ling Xiao kept stealing the Shadow King's Holy Necromancer to cultivate his Black Lotus Scroll and temper his physical body at the same time. The Shadow King was naturally not stupid. He also felt some strange changes, but he couldn't completely confirm it. Could it be that this kid actually has some treasure that can resist the Holy Necromancer? No, I can't be so slow. No matter what, I have to refine this person. Although this kid has great potential, he is only a warrior in the completion of the ultimate core realm. If the holy water of the eternal undead can't refine it, then it'll be too embarrassing. Thinking of this, the Shadow King immediately increased the input of the Holy Necromancer. Unfortunately, he didn't know that he had completely gone astray. The more he acted this way, the more Ling Xiao benefited. Time passed slowly. The streams of dead spirit, holy water, never returned, becoming a treasure for Ling Xiao to raise his strength. The energy in his cultivation, C, had increased to 90%. The celestial demon black tortoise body was also close to a breakthrough. The most amazing thing was that the Black Lotus had completely transformed into a human form. Next, it only needed more Holy Necromancer to refine it, to make it stronger. An hour passed. Another hour passed. Ling Xiao didn't know what was happening outside, but he knew what had happened to him. The demonic qi in his body had been transferred to the Black Lotus Demon Supremacy. The Black Lotus Demon Supremacy didn't have a soul. It was just one of his physical bodies. He had once cultivated the remnant of the Essence Soul Scroll. His soul could be divided into many parts, so controlling 2 physical bodies was not a problem at all. According to the Lotus Sutra, in order to cultivate the Black Lotus Scroll to greater mastery, the warrior's strength had to be at the divine body realm at the very least. However, with the help of the Holy Necromancer, Ling Xiao had completely taken a shortcut. He had made the impossible possible. In the end, Ling Xiao simply removed all the arrays. The Black Lotus Demon Supremacy appeared beside him. He looked exactly the same as Ling Xiao, but the demonic qi was dense. One could tell at a glance that he cultivated the demonic Tao. Using the demonic Tao cultivation method, He was much stronger than Ling Xiao's body. Boom! A terrifying aura soared into the sky. Ling Xiao's cultivation had finally broken through. The first stage of the core fragmentation realm was really not easy. If it weren't for the holy necromancer, he definitely wouldn't have broken through so quickly. At the same time, the two people in the Dong Sheng Emperor Ring also benefited from it. Sword Tiger merely absorbed the energy of Ling Xiao's holy necromancer and broke through to the half-step divine body realm. Dong Huangyu was even more exaggerated. She directly broke through to the first stage of the core fragmentation realm. Her cultivation was comparable to Ling Xiao's. Even Ling Xiao couldn't help but admire this little disciple of his. Fortunately, this talent wasn't snatched away by others. Otherwise, it would definitely become a very troublesome enemy. At the moment, Ling Xiao's condition was a little strange. His cultivation had broken through to the first stage of the core fragmentation realm. His combat strength was comparable to that of a half-step divine body realm. Of course, this was under the condition that he used the Sky Tyrant martial soul. He could fight against a half-step divine body realm warrior. Mobile version update website. M. Chapter 4552. As for the Black Lotus Demon Venerable, he directly advanced to the first level of the divine physique echelon and completely absorbed the holy water of necromancy into his body. In other words, Ling Xiao had a body at the first level of the divine physique echelon. However, this body could only cultivate demonic techniques and could not use the martial soul of Tyrant or the 12 beast gods. But this was still extremely powerful. My holy water! Outside, the Shadow King suddenly realized that the holy water of necromancy in the bottle was suddenly sucked away and entered the black shadow. He jumped in fright. Damn it, this is the holy water of necromancy bestowed to me by the dead spirit emperor. I only have one bottle, and I originally planned to use it when I broke through my cultivation. Now it's all gone. Damn it, damn it, damn it, Ling Xiao! He could not believe that Ling Xiao had stolen his holy water of necromancy. A hysterical roar resounded in Shadow City. He could never have imagined that Ling Xiao had such a miraculous technique like the Lotus Sutra. This was what it meant to fail miserably. Shadow King, it's my turn to take revenge now. Ling Xiao suddenly tore apart the black ball and walked out. Dong Huangyu and Jianhu were with him. The two of them had become extremely powerful. Basically, as long as the opponent was not a divine physique echelon cultivator, no one could do anything to them. Shadow City was the Shadow King's lair, and it was more troublesome. The more people there were, the more power there would be. However, Ling Xiao did not release the Black Lotus Demon Venerable. This was a killer move, and it was naturally to be used at the crucial moment. With the Black Lotus Demon Venerable, Ling Xiao's success rate of sneak attacking the Shadow King would be much higher. Shadow King, we entered the world of souls to take a few things. You want to kill me? Since that's the case, I have no choice but to kill you. Ling Xiao was not a kind person. If the other party wanted to kill him, he would definitely not let it go, especially now that he had such a terrifying ability. You want to kill me with just the three of you? What a joke! The Shadow King's eyes were filled with anger, and cold killing intent was constantly released. Don't think that you can fight me just because you stole my holy necromancy water and made a breakthrough in your cultivation. Even if your battle prowess has reached the half-step divine physique realm, even if the three of you are half-step divine physique realm. However, when faced with a true divine body echelon cultivator, you still don't stand a chance. If you had continued to hide in the array, this king would not have been able to do anything to you. But since you've come out, then die. As soon as he finished speaking, a black shadow suddenly appeared above Ling Xiao's head. It was the Shadow King. It turned out that this Shadow King was very cunning. He deliberately appeared to have lost his mind and was extremely angry. He just wanted to distract Ling Xiao and the others. His main body had already charged towards Ling Xiao. The Shadow King was best at doppelganger and concealment. This kind of trick was very simple. Die. The Shadow King wanted to see Ling Xiao's shocked expression. However, the corners of Ling Xiao's mouth revealed a trace of viciousness and cunning. Do you think you can fool me with this little trick of yours? He came from the heavenly dragon continent and had seen countless cunning tricks along the way. There were people 10 times more cunning than the Shadow King. How could he fall for this trick? What? The Shadow King was stunned for a moment. Suddenly, he felt a terrifying, murderous aura. In the next moment, a punch landed on his head, sending him flying. His head exploded. The Black Lotus Overlord floated in midair. The surrounding people were dumbfounded. Ling Xiao was just beating the Shadow King at his own game. The Black Lotus Overlord was waiting for this opportunity. Kill! The Black Lotus Overlord pounced on the Shadow King, not giving him a chance. Ling Xiao, Sword Tiger, and Donghuang Yu charged towards the Nightmare Knights and the black-robed skeletons who were still in shock. The Shadow King was terrified after being ambushed. Black Lotus Demonic Fist. Who are you? This Black Lotus Demonic Fist was created by Lotus Flower. Only people from the Eternal Desert know. And the only cultivator is Lotus Flower. Who are you? The Shadow King knew that he had reached an extremely dangerous juncture. He could not hold back anymore. Hence, he waved his hand and a cold sword appeared in his hand. This sword was ice crystal colored and as thin as a cicada's wing. The sword hilt had the image of a frost divine dragon. With a light wave, the Black Lotus Overlord had no choice but to stop his attack and retreat a few steps. Demonic Sword. Death Withering. This sword is actually an emperor armament with 9 dragon patterns. Ling Xiao saw the sword through the Black Lotus Overlord's eyes. Hence, he took some time to look at it with his Tai Chi eye. He couldn't help but be shocked. What a powerful emperor armament. Before this, he had only seen the strongest emperor armament with 4 dragon patterns. Now, there were 9 dragon patterns. Here. The next moment, Ling Xiao handed the East Victory demonic sword to the Black Lotus Overlord. Because he was the Black Lotus Overlord and he was the Black Lotus Overlord, he was very familiar with the East Victory demonic sword. He could use it as soon as he got it. Strictly speaking, Remnant Blood, Bloodthirst, and other sword moves were demonic moves. Of course, the Black Lotus Overlord could use them. Death Withering contained a terrifying aura that could cause anything it touched to wither instantly and lose their life force. At this moment, several Nightmare Knights and black, cloaked skeletons in the hall were killed. Although Ling Xiao's original body was not as strong as the Black Lotus Overlord, he was not to be underestimated. The other 2 also had half-step divine physique echelon combat power. It was very easy to kill the core-shattering realm Nightmare Knights and black-robed skeletons. Bastard! The Shadow King was furious. He waved the Death Withering in his hand and charged towards Ling Xiao. However, he was blocked by the Black Lotus Overlord again. Ding! The 2 swords clashed and were actually evenly matched. Although the East Victory demonic sword did not have any special effects, its sharpness and hardness were not inferior to Death Withering. I'll leave the rest to the 2 of you. Ling Xiao secretly transmitted his voice to Donghuang Yu and Jinhu. Then, he suddenly charged towards the Shadow King. What a joke! I'm afraid you won't come to die. The Shadow King was overjoyed when he saw Ling Xiao charging towards him. However, in the next moment, he could not laugh anymore. Ling Xiao used the void-shattering finger from afar. However, he did not aim at the Shadow King, but at Death Withering. He knew that with the Shadow King's terrifying strength, the void-shattering finger could only do limited damage to him. He might as well focus on the Death Withering demonic sword. Death Withering was enveloped by space and seemed to be about to escape from his hand. You want to take away my Death Withering? Dream on! The Shadow King sneered. Although the void-shattering finger was terrifying, it was not to the extent that he was afraid of. After all, Ling Xiao's cultivation was still lacking. There was always a gap between true origin and divine origin. Haha, you think my target is your death withering? Sorry, you guessed wrong again. Ling Xiao suddenly revealed a cold smile. In the next moment, the Shadow King was terrified. At this moment, the Black Lotus Overlord launched his attack. Critical blood! The Black Lotus Overlord was originally at the first level of the Divine Physique Echelon, which was equivalent to the Shadow King's strength. However, the Shadow King had death withering in his hand, so it was not easy for him to win. However, at this moment, death withering was under Ling Xiao's control, even if it was only for a moment. The Black Lotus Overlord's chance had arrived. Everyone read M. Chapter 4553. Bang! The Black Lotus Demon's supremacy seized the opportunity to attack. After all, he was Ling Xiao's other body. Therefore, their tacit understanding was 100%. It was more outstanding than anyone else's. The Shadow King couldn't block it in time. He was injured before, and this time he was hit again. The remnant blood, sword energy, cut the Shadow King's body in half. Even though he had the death and withering demon sword, it was useless. At this moment, because his body was cut in half, he lost control of the death and withering demon sword and fell into Ling Xiao's hands. The Shadow King's strength was on par with the Black Lotus Demon's supremacy. One-on-one, they might not win. However, he was ambushed by the Black Lotus Demon sect. This time he was heavily injured by the Black Lotus Demon's supremacy and Ling Xiao. He even lost his demon sword. Fortunately, the Shadow King's body was strong. Otherwise, he would have died after being cut in half by the remnant blood sword energy. The undead spirit race also had an inner core, but it contained a terrifying death aura. Run! The Shadow King sensed danger and knew that he couldn't fight against the Black Lotus Demon's supremacy and Ling Xiao alone. He finally thought of running. Where there's life, there's hope. However, Ling Xiao wouldn't give him the chance to escape. At this point, it would be a pity if they didn't kill the Shadow King. Martial Soul Barrier. The Martial Soul Barrier was released, and the Shadow King crashed into it. However, he was bounced back. The Black Lotus Demon's supremacy didn't let him go. He waved the Dongxing demon sword in his hand and used sword moves to kill. He killed the Shadow King until he was in great pain. After a few rounds, he was killed. Ling Xiao absorbed the energy in the Shadow King's dantian, and his potential increased by a lot. What was more terrifying was that his body was comparable to an Emperor artifact with 5 dragon patterns. In terms of defense, the Black Lotus Demon's supremacy was inferior to his main body. Let's go! After killing the Shadow King, Ling Xiao hurriedly called Jinhu and Dong Huangyu to leave. The Shadow King's death would definitely cause a commotion among the undead spirit race. Ling Xiao didn't want to be targeted by the other undead spirit kings. Although he had the Black Lotus Demon supremacy's divine physique first-level body. However, if he was surrounded, he wouldn't be able to escape. It was best to keep a low profile in other people's territory. Half an hour later, everyone returned to the Death Soul Mountain. In the Death Soul Mountain, the dead spirit creatures appeared in groups, as if they had been frightened. This puzzled Ling Xiao. He suspected that something might have happened in the world of souls. That was why the dead spirit beast was so restless. Them again. Sword Tiger looked at a nearby valley. It was a good place to hide. After hiding inside, there were basically no undead demonic beasts that came in to harass them. At this moment, the 8 people from the Deep Sea Dragon field were resting there. The Shadow King had killed 4 of the original 12 people. Logically speaking, the people of the Deep Sea Dragon realm should be thanking them. Let's go! Ling Xiao sneered. Previously, the people from the Deep Sea Dragon field had said that they wanted to kill him. He even thought of running away. But now, everything was different. He planned to kill the 8 people from the Deep Sea Dragon realm, including the jellyfish Tianhua. If he didn't kill them, they would definitely attack him every time he met them. He couldn't stand it. He found Ling Xiao, Sword Tiger, and Dong Huangyu. Tianhua, jellyfish, revealed a surprised expression. He was very curious. Since Ling Xiao had already escaped, why did he come back to die? Could it be that this kid was plotting something? Yo, bastards from the deep sea dragon realm. We are really enemies on a narrow road. Ling Xiao couldn't be bothered to beat around the bush. He came here to kill these bastards. As soon as he finished speaking, he suddenly attacked. Escape light. A sword light burst out from the east, victory sword in his hand. It pierced straight at Tianhua. Tianhua only had time to tilt his body slightly. As a result, half of his body was almost cut off by the sword light. You're not dead? You're really lucky. Ling Xiao sneered and said, You asked me to make a choice before, to commit suicide or to be killed. Now, I'll ask you the same question. Do you choose to commit suicide or to be killed by us? Tianhua was still in a state of confusion at this moment. He didn't expect that Ling Xiao would dare to attack him. This kid wasn't so fierce before. That sword light was fast, accurate, and ruthless. If he hadn't cultivated a powerful movement technique, he was afraid that he would have been cut in half by the sword. He hurriedly swallowed a healing pill. He stared at Ling Xiao. There were only 3 people on the other side, and there were 8 of them. There seemed to be no need to be afraid. But in the next moment, he showed a frightened expression. Because when Ling Xiao attacked, Sword Tiger and Dong Wangyu also attacked. Sword Tiger directly tore a 9th stage core fragmentation realm martial artist from the deep sea dragon realm. Dong Wangyu used the 9 revolution gourd to kill an 8th stage core fragmentation realm martial artist in seconds. In the blink of an eye, the 8 people became 6 people. The advantage of the deep sea dragon realm was greatly reduced. And all of this happened in an instant. The deep sea dragon realm martial artists almost didn't react. When they reacted, it was already too late. Kid, how dare you attack the deep sea dragon realm? Jellyfish, Tianhua roared. Since you won't choose to commit suicide, let's just save some time. Ling Xiao chuckled. In the next moment, Sword Tiger was already facing the mysterious middle-aged martial artist, a half-step divine physique echelon expert. If it was before, Sword Tiger might not be his opponent, but after the incident in Shadow City, Sword Tiger's strength wasn't inferior to this person at all. Dong Wangyu was facing 3 8th and 9th stage core fragmentation realm martial artists alone. Now, there were only 2 people left. One was Jellyfish Tianhua, who was gradually recovering from his injuries, a half-step divine physique echelon expert. The other was a core fragmentation realm martial artist. Jellyfish Tianhua felt as if he had eaten feces. They originally wanted to kill the Battle Union's team, but now they were attacked by the opponent. This feeling was indescribably disgusting. Ling Xiao looked at Jellyfish Tianhua with a smile and said, Originally, you could have lived for a while longer. Although I have a grudge against you, I wouldn't attack you for no reason. But you didn't know what was good for you and dared to attack me. Now, the feeling of being killed isn't bad, right? Jellyfish Tianhua's injuries had basically recovered. His eyes were like that of an injured beast, filled with anger and fury. He stared fiercely at Ling Xiao, wishing that he could skin Ling Xiao alive and pull out his tendons. Ling Xiao, you are really a powerful person. Even I can't help but admire you. But today, you have done the stupidest thing. You didn't manage to kill me, so now it's your turn to be unlucky. Unlucky? Why didn't I know? Ling Xiao laughed. You still dare to laugh? Do you think that you can defeat me by yourself? Go and help them. Quickly deal with that woman. It's best if you can capture her alive. Such a beautiful girl. It's a pity to kill her. Jellyfish Tianhua didn't think that he was inferior to Ling Xiao. Therefore, he believed that he could suppress Ling Xiao by himself, while the other person could deal with Dong Huangyu. Disciple, can you handle 1 against 4? Ling Xiao asked with a smile. Chapter 4554. It's a little difficult, Master. Let's get rid of that guy quickly. Dong Huangyu said that it was difficult, but the battle was extremely easy. The 9 Revolution gourd had both offense and defense. The jellyfish lava mirror was extremely powerful, relying on these 2 treasures in addition to her outstanding lightning and water dual attribute attacks. It would be difficult for the 4 enemies to get close to her. Don't worry, it won't take more than a minute. If Ling Xiao used the Black Lotus Demon Venerable, he might be able to end the battle in a second. However, that would be detrimental to the growth of his main body. Moreover, he didn't want to expose the existence of the Black Lotus Demon Venerable for the time being. To be honest, he was a little emotional. Even if he didn't use the Black Lotus Demon Venerable, Ling Xiao's main body was already able to fight against a half-step divine physique realm expert. One had to know that Jellyfish Tianhua was stronger than Green Lotus, Swordswoman, and Zhao Fengyan. Thinking back, he was just a small ant in front of the 3 of them in the past. He wondered if the 3 seniors would be so shocked that their eyeballs would pop out when they saw his current strength. Jellyfish Tianhua was just an alchemy stone in front of him. It was a good opportunity to test how strong his main body was. Jellyfish Tianhua wasn't weak. He had just been sneak attacked by him using light, but he was still able to dodge it. This was definitely not something an ordinary person could do. Although this guy was still lacking compared to Yu Qin, Wang Quan under the heavens, and Zilin. However, he was still a half-step divine physique realm expert. There was no doubt that a guy with such strength would definitely have an emperor weapon. Ling Xiao touched his storage ring gently. Death and withering was still lying inside. The soul imprint of the Shadow King had already been erased by the Yuan Venerate. It was now Ling Xiao's possession. The East Victory Demon Sword was now in the hands of the Black Lotus Demon Venerable. Death, withering could be used first. After all, it was an emperor weapon with 9 dragon patterns. Bang! In the sky, Jianhu and the middle-aged martialist collided. Then they separated. That person was holding a battle saber that was extremely powerful. There was an obvious dragon pattern on the battle saber. It should also be an emperor weapon. How can this be? The middle-aged martialist was very surprised. They had investigated Jianhu's strength. He was only at the 9th level of the Shattered Core Realm. He was no match for him at all. But now he was able to fight him to a draw. Are you surprised? What's even more shocking is what comes next. Jianhu laughed coldly. His body slowly changed and became stronger. Regardless of whether it was speed or strength, both had increased by several times. The middle-aged martial artist had originally planned to kill Sword Tiger as soon as possible to help Jellyfish Tianhua, because he had a very bad premonition. Ling Xiao was too cunning. Tianhua, Jellyfish, might be at a disadvantage. However, at this moment he was actually entangled by the Sword Tiger and could not be distracted in the slightest. A moment of distraction could cost him his life. Dong Huang Yu's combat style was clearly more intelligent. Anyway, her mission was to stall for time and delay the 4 Shattered Core Realm martial artists. In her eyes, her master Ling Xiao was omnipotent and invincible. If Master said that he wanted to kill Jellyfish Tianhua, he would definitely be able to do it. Behind Tianhua, a black jellyfish appeared. This guy was really annoyed and directly released his martial soul. This jellyfish was like a ghost, exuding a terrifying, murderous aura. The surrounding air seemed to have been polluted and turned black. Then he took out a trident. It seemed that the sea race martial artists liked this kind of weapon very much. Humans used harpoons to attack the sea race. The sea race also hoped to use this kind of weapon to counterattack. The trident was also black, and there seemed to be countless ghosts condensed on it. When it was taken out, the sound of ghosts wailing and wolves howling could be heard. It made one's scalp go numb. Ling Xiao, you should be able to rest in peace. Today, I took out my martial soul and this 2-dragon inscription emperor weapon. I'm really giving you face. Ghost Head Trident. You should have heard of the name of this emperor weapon. He had 99 powerful souls sealed within him, and all of them are human experts. Every one of them is strong enough to tear you to pieces. Jellyfish Tianhua laughed coldly. The head of the ghost head, trident indeed, looked like the head of a devil. There were 3 sharp horns on it, together with the terrifying aura released by the ghost jellyfish. The surrounding space became even more gloomy. This place was originally the world of souls, so it was already gloomy. Because of his actions, it seemed like everything in the world was about to fall into death. Fear. Tremble. The most terrifying thing about the ghost head trident is that it can make people's souls fear, lose the will to fight. Jellyfish Tianhua had not made a move yet, just holding the ghost head trident in his hand. He was extremely confident. It was as if he could already win. He wanted to see Ling Zhao's panicked expression. Unfortunately, he was destined to be disappointed. The evil spirits in the ghost head trident were not only unable to cause any harm to Ling Zhao. Instead, they were intimidated by Ling Zhao's beast soul will. The 12 beast gods were the top existences in the Black Tortoise continent. Their wills were superior to all other existences. What kind of monster is this guy? He's not even afraid of the ghost head trident? Jellyfish Tianhua frowned. This was the first time since he used the ghost head trident. There had never been such a thing before. He began to panic a little. No, I can't lose. After all, he was young and impetuous. He would not lose the will to fight because of this panic. With a roar, the ghost head trident directly stabbed out. The sky, full of trident shadows, enveloped Ling Zhao. It was as if they wanted to pierce Ling Zhao into a hornet's nest. Ling Zhao sneered. He did not use his sword. White Lotus God Fist. The Black Lotus Scroll had given birth to the Black Lotus Demon Elder, so there was no need to continue cultivating for the time being. What Ling Zhao needed to do now was to cultivate the White Lotus Scroll. The White Lotus Scroll cultivated the power of God. Naturally, the power of God Fist was greater. A huge white lotus bloomed in the void. A terrifying fist tore through the void and blasted towards the sky, full of trident shadows. In terms of strength, Ling Zhao did not lose to Jellyfish Tianhua at all. Boom! A terrifying roar sounded, and Jellyfish Tianhua was directly sent flying. He fell heavily to the ground. His eyes revealed a look of horror. What? How can your strength be so terrifying? When Jellyfish Tianhua came into contact with Ling Zhao, he found out that Ling Zhao was already a first-stage core fragmentation realm martial artist. His combat strength was actually not inferior to a half-step divine physique realm martial artist. He was so strong that it was a little ridiculous. Moreover, he had the help of the Emperor weapon. His opponent was bare-handed. Scared? Ling Zhao mocked. When he was fighting with Jellyfish Tianhua, he was constantly paying attention to the surrounding situation, including the battle between Sword Tiger and Dong Huangyu. If the two of them were in danger, or if a stronger enemy came, he would definitely release the Black Lotus Demon Lord. At this moment, Sword Tiger was gradually gaining the upper hand. The body of the savage beast race was too strong. Moreover, Jean, who was much younger than that person, so he was more energetic. Moreover, that middle-aged man had stayed in the world of dead souls for too long. His body was invaded by the chi of dead souls, and now he was extremely weak. If there were no unforeseen events in this battle, then Sword Tiger would definitely win. Mobile version update website. M. Chapter 4555. On the other side, Dong Huangyu was facing the 4 people from the Deep Sea Dragon domain and was not at a disadvantage. Ling Zhao could even feel that this little girl was continuously evolving and improving in the battle. There was a slight possibility of another breakthrough. What a genius disciple! Suddenly, he heard the voice of Tianhua Jellyfish. Ling Zhao, do you think that was my limit? Release the 99 ghosts. Tianhua Jellyfish roared. 99 streaks of black smoke came out of the ghost head fork. They transformed into 99 figures. Each of them was filled with a dangerous aura. This should be the ghost head fork's special skill. Normally, Emperor weapons would have special effects, Some had special skills, some had special effects. This ghost head fork should have its own special skill. As for death and withering, it had a terrifying withering effect. 99 spirits pounced on Ling Xiao and surrounded Ling Xiao from all directions. Each of them was baring their fangs and brandishing their claws. They were extremely ferocious. Compared to the previous move, this one was many times stronger. At this moment, even a half-step divine physique echelon martial artist would not dare to take this attack head-on. Therefore, Tianhua Jellyfish smiled coldly. Ling Xiao, just accept your fate. You lowly piece of trash. You'll never have such a powerful emperor weapon. Jianhu and Dongwang, you also felt the power of Tianhua Jellyfish's attack. They could not help but look over in shock. Ha ha ha, that kid is dead meat. Next, it's your turn. That middle-aged martial artist laughed maniacally. Originally, he thought that he would be able to end the battle earlier, but now it seemed that Tianhua Jellyfish would be the one to end the battle earlier. A mere emperor weapon with 2 dragon patterns dares to act pretentious in front of me? Ling Xiao was filled with disdain. Today, I will let you have a taste of something new. Although I've only been practicing this move for a short period of time, it will be very interesting. Pretentious fool, I don't believe that you have any means to block this attack of mine. Tianhua Jellyfish was very confident in his attack. In other words, this was the only confidence he had. If this move couldn't injure Ling Xiao, then he was practically at his wit's end. Boom! All 99 spirits crashed into Ling Xiao's body. Skyflower Jellyfish was relieved. He let out a wild laugh. Ha 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 ha. Ling Xiao, you're just an ant in the end. However, his laughter came to an abrupt halt almost instantly. He looked as if he had seen a ghost, completely unable to control himself. Laugh, keep laughing. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. Impossible. You. What kind of monster was he? You're definitely not human. It's impossible for a human to block this attack with just their physical body. Skyflower Jellyfish was in disbelief. He felt that his worldview was about to collapse. He had also seen powerful geniuses before, but he had never seen one as strange as Ling Xiao. Why are you so surprised? Let me tell you something interesting. Ling Xiao chuckled and said, My physical body is equivalent to a 5-dragon mark emperor weapon. You said that I don't have a treasure like you. My physical body is a treasure. What? How is that possible? Ling Xiao's words caused the martial artists of the deep-sea dragon field to turn pale with fright. Even Sword Tiger and Dong Huang were shocked. Master is indeed master. Even if my cultivation has caught up to him, my strength is still far from his. A physical body that is equivalent to a 5-dragon mark emperor weapon. This is heaven-defying. Dong Huang's eyes were filled with excitement. No wonder young Master Jean is willing to call him boss. From our interactions during this period of time, he is indeed terrifying. That strange doppelganger in the real world and that terrifying physical body now. How many more secrets does this person have? Sword Tiger was also completely convinced by Ling Xiao. It wasn't like at the beginning, when he was only nice to Ling Xiao because of Xiao Jin. Just when everyone thought that this was Ling Xiao's greatest trump card, Ling Xiao threw out something even more shocking. Boundless black qi was released from his body. It spread crazily towards the surroundings. It then formed a huge array. It enveloped the entire battlefield. This array was not set up by Ling Xiao. It was the special effect of the holy ground demonic shadow. The area covered by this array was the holy ground. What kind of strange martial art is this? Tianhua Jellyfish was even more shocked. This martial art actually changed the surrounding environment. An ancient and desolate aura constantly appeared. Many strange shadows appeared in the array. Some were like buildings, some were like human figures, and some were even like demonic beasts. They were incomparably huge. A saint-level cultivation technique. Ling Xiao replied with a smile. Impossible. Hearing Ling Xiao's words, Tianhua jellyfish immediately felt that it was impossible. Under normal circumstances, only cultivators with divine essence could cultivate a saint-level cultivation technique. Ling Xiao had just reached the first level of the Shattered Core Realm. How could he have mastered a saint-level cultivation technique? Tianhua jellyfish was a half-step divine physique echelon cultivator, but his best cultivation technique was only at the peak of 10th Order Emperor Realm. Killing intent was everywhere in the holy ground. Those shadows seemed to be able to materialize at any time and kill Tianhua jellyfish. Tianhua jellyfish stood in the holy ground and felt his hair stand on end. The holy ground demonic shadow is indeed powerful. Ling Xiao couldn't help but sigh. Although it was not as good as the Lotus Sutra, the holy ground demonic shadow was still a top-notch saint-level cultivation technique. The range of the holy ground could be expanded to a radius of 1 mile at most. Within this range, Ling Xiao was like a demon god in the holy ground. It could be said that he was omnipotent. Every shadow in the holy ground could be used by him. As the holy ground demonic shadow grew stronger, the number of shadows he could control would also increase. At the same time, Ling Xiao could switch between the shadows. That speed was even more terrifying than teleportation. Not only that, within this range, unless the opponent could destroy the holy ground demonic shadow, otherwise he would be invincible. Do you feel terrified? Do you feel despair? There's nothing you can do about it. I'm just that strong. Ling Xiao was deeply shocked by the holy ground demonic shadow. Before he could cultivate it, he didn't know how terrifying it was. But now he understood. At the very least, it was a heaven-defying technique for the time being. I'll use you to test the effect of the holy ground demonic shadow. Don't worry, I won't kill you immediately. You'll become my lab rat. Ling Xiao's lips curled into a smile. In the next moment, he disappeared. Boom! The god's fist landed on Tianhua jellyfish's body and sent him flying dozens of meters away. Tianhua jellyfish spat out a mouthful of blood and crawled up from the ground in fear. He didn't see Ling Xiao's shadow at all, but the attack had already arrived. It was too terrifying. In the sky, the middle-aged martial artist saw the unforeseen event below. His expression changed drastically. A saint-level cultivation technique? How could he know a saint-level cultivation technique? His original expectation suddenly turned into despair. Chapter 4556. In the battle, the middle-aged martial artist was at a disadvantage. He was hoping that Tianhua jellyfish would come and help him after killing Ling Xiao. But now, it seemed like his hopes were dashed. Tianhua jellyfish had completely entered the battle mode of the beast race. His appearance was getting more and more different from a human. His speed and strength increased crazily. He could only hold on bitterly, but the injuries on his body were increasing. Who can come and help me? At this moment, Tianhua jellyfish screamed in fear. A 9th level Shattered Core martial artist who was fighting with Dong Huangyu immediately rushed over. However, he didn't realize that he was also in the range of the holy ground. Chi! A sword pierced through the martial artist's body. Ling Xiao took out death withering. The martial artist's body quickly withered and turned into a pile of soil, disappearing completely. You should have just obediently fought with your opponent. Why did you have to come and die? After Ling Xiao killed the martial artist, he put away death withering. He didn't want to use it to deal with Tianhua jellyfish. Otherwise, Tianhua jellyfish would die too quickly. It wouldn't be able to help him fully experience the effects of the holy ground demonic shadow. Master, why did you steal my kill? Dong Wanyu pouted. It's my fault. Ling Xiao smiled and walked towards Tianhua jellyfish. Damn it, Ling Xiao, you're too arrogant. Originally, this treasure was given to me by my father to use when I was dying. But now, I'll use it to deal with you. Tianhua jellyfish was in despair. But after despair, he became ferocious. He had no other choice. He didn't expect that he would be forced into a dead end so quickly. He had to use something that he had no choice but to use. He suddenly crushed a talisman in his hand. Suddenly, the entire holy ground seemed to be covered by lightning. Countless lightning bolts crazily fell down. Not only that, but Tianhua jellyfish's body also had a layer of violent protection. Violent lightning, purgatory talisman. What a pity. This talisman can only be used 3 times. One time, I have to use it to deal with a scoundrel like you. Originally, when Tianhua jellyfish discovered the Shadow King, he decided to keep this talisman to deal with the Shadow King. But now his life was in danger, and he had no choice but to go crazy. Endless wild lightning chased after Ling Xiao and struck down unceasingly. Even Jianhu and Dong Huangyu were affected. Fortunately, the 2 of them had defensive monarch weapons, so they were barely able to hold on. However, the situation was suddenly reversed. The middle-aged man secretly cursed, "If you have such a powerful thing, why didn't you use it earlier? Why did you have to wait until you were in despair? How hateful!" Although he said that he did not want to waste this opportunity, in the wild thunder purgatory, he began to chase after the sword tiger. In any case, this lightning seemed to have the consciousness of the jellyfish Skyflower and could actively avoid teammates. The other 3 also attacked Dongwangyu from all sides. The situation was very dangerous. Originally, I wanted to play with you, but now I must kill you. Ling Xiao's expression suddenly turned gloomy and cold. If this continued, he wasn't afraid, but Jianhu and Dong Huangyu would definitely be in danger. "Ha ha ha, you think you can kill me? This wild thunder purgatory can attack and defend. How are you going to kill me? I'm afraid you won't even be able to break through this defensive layer formed by the wild thunder." Although he was laughing, Tianhua jellyfish's heart was filled with fear. This Ling Xiao was actually not afraid of the wild thunder purgatory. That ghostly figure, even the lightning, couldn't catch up to him. What kind of terrifying fellow was this? I have to try. Suddenly, the shadows of 10 giant beasts appeared behind Ling Xiao. With the blood-drilling heavenly rat as the leader, they crazily pounced towards Skyflower. 12 divine beast technique, 10th level. This 10th level was the most terrifying martial skill that Ling Xiao could currently use. In terms of pure attack power, even the void-shattering finger and universal divine fist were inferior to it. Sensing the terrifying aura coming at him, Skyflower was so scared that he kept retreating. He clearly knew that he had the protection of the wild thunder purgatory and shouldn't be afraid of Ling Xiao's attack. But knowing was just a moment, feeling was another matter. That terrifying aura made him feel extremely terrified. He could even feel that he was about to die. Boom! The terrifying blood-drilling, heavenly rat finally collided with Skyflower. However, the dark blue lightning barrier actually managed to completely block this attack. In the end, it collapsed. Ha! Ha ha ha! Ling Xiao, did you see that? It's useless. This should be your most powerful attack. But it's still useless. It can't hurt me. Skyflower finally reacted, and the fear on his face turned into ecstasy. Clearly, the defensive power of the wild thunder purgatory was beyond her expectations. So strong. As expected, it's not working. This talisman is probably at least an emperor artifact with 4 dragon patterns. Try that move. Ling Xiao ignored Skyflower's words. In the next moment, his entire body suddenly emitted a strange black luster. Above his head, a black lotus throne appeared. It was as black as ink, but it was filled with terrifying power. Skyflower's laughter came to an abrupt end. You can feel it too, right? This move is terrifying. I'm sorry, but this is also a holy level secret technique. Sigh, a person is too strong. There's really nothing I can do. Ling Xiao looked at the jellyfish Tianhua and laughed mockingly. At that moment, Skyflower jellyfish was terrified. His entire body was trembling, and even his soul seemed to be kneeling down. Run! This was his most direct and simple thought at this moment. Even when Ling Xiao had the upper hand just now, he had never thought of running away, because he still had a way to deal with it. But now, at this moment, he was completely at his wits' end. Boom! On top of the Black Lotus throne, a devil Buddha actually appeared. It was clearly a Buddha, but it emitted a terrifying demonic aura. It was like a Buddha that had entered the demonic realm. That cold gaze stared at Skyfleur. It made Tianhua Jellyfish feel like a lowly ant in this world. The difference between them was too great. He wanted to escape, but his legs couldn't move. His soul could no longer control his body. Black Lotus treasure light, devil Buddha immeasurable. Ling Xiao's mouth emitted a cold and murderous aura. No, Ling Xiao, you dare to kill me. The deep sea dragon realm will not let you go. These were the last words left by Skyflower. In the next moment, the devil Buddha's shadow crashed into Skyflower's body. His body was clearly intact, but he was no longer moving. His body was alive, but his soul was dead. Even the wild thunder purgatory could not block this attack at all. The moment Skyflower died, the wild thunder purgatory also came to an abrupt end. The martial artists of the deep sea dragon realm looked at the motionless corpse in horror. Run! Run! The middle-aged martial artist cried out in alarm. He did not know what treasure he used, but he actually tore open a crack in space. Then he drilled in. He disappeared. Even Ling Xiao was a little surprised by this scene. But thinking about it carefully, this person had stayed in the death world for a long time. In order to survive, he would definitely have a magic treasure on him. It was not strange.